Okay. I suppose we are live. Cool. Put on something a little bit different today. Some background ambiance. Yeah, some background ambiance. And I'm gonna try my hardest today to not fall into this shrimp posture that I've been finding myself falling into as of late. I really want to do some art today, which is partially why I have this split key out. So, maybe a disappointment to some who like the old IBM key commitment. That's okay. You gotta have days where you use something different, you know? Where you do things a little bit differently. I'm also gonna be, now that I have my keyboard, I can resume the ultra nerd, not nerd, but the ultra like World of Warcraft gamer posture, which is like having my back fully leaned back in the chair instead of hunching forward. So we're gonna see how that goes. And I'm just gonna be focusing just on working as I normally do. Oh, it feels kind of nice to be able to lean back and relax a little bit. I don't get to do that too much. Get to roll these armrests back a little bit. We just get some work done. Hey, what's up, Morgan? Good to see you. It's been a while. I was thinking like the other day, it's been a while since I've seen you. And I love that the one day you come, or at least to my knowledge, is the one day where I have the Mr. Krabs keyboard instead of the IBM one that I was using to try to avoid having the Mr. Krabs sounds. Hope you're doing well today. Hope you're having a good night, and let's tune in for a little chill game deving session. I'm gonna kind of resume kind of where I started off last time, but we're gonna do something a little bit different, pivot a little bit. I'm gonna play the game as it is first, and then we're gonna assess some of the things that need to be done, and we shall continue from here. So we have this whole door now where it shows the grade you have on it, and then it's not even, why is it not disappearing when I walk away from it? Been busy. Sister had her whole thyroid removed. That's crazy. Hope you and yours are well too. Yeah, I hope my thyroid is good too as well. Thank you for that consideration. That's crazy. I hope your sister's doing better. Yeah, surgery's never a thing to take lightly. So I think today we're going to be sprucing up some of these mechanics we got going on here, make things a little bit nicer. So let's talk about agenda for today. Let's talk about agenda. Can we talk about the agenda? I'd like to talk about the agenda. So we're going to talk about the agenda. So we're working on this, and we have a basic kind of pseudo implementation of this in-game representation. So we're going to make this hub world, right? We're going to make a nice, beautiful hub world. And in this hub world, there's going to be doors you can go to that take you to levels. And levels, before you go into it, before you go to the level, you'd like to see what's your progress on that level. So the door has this information that pops up that lets you know your rank. I think I have the ACE file here somewhere too. 1 second. We're going to open this bad boy up, if I do not recall. Why is the ACE sprite kind of bad at remembering where I saved things? Like, I'm pretty sure I saved that template thing. But anyways, the preview of the level is going to show you like the rank you have, the highest score you have, and the items you've unlocked or haven't unlocked. And that's going to be kind of just a little preview before you commit to going into the level. And I think we implemented the basic stuff. We implemented the back-end data stuff, and we implemented the basic presentation of that information. And now I want to just make sure it tests out and works well and actually transitions to another level. So this is like largely done, but we're going to be starting there. Now, the next thing I want to work on, because this dust optimization, that's kind of important, but also we can live without that for now. I want to get this ready for playtesting. One thing I do want to do is player movement fine-tuning. And by that, I mean that the specific thing I want to do is kind of change the player jump. So if we go into the game, and let's actually see, because I'm going based off of memory. I actually don't remember if it's behaving the way I remember it to, but if it does, I want to change it. Because I added this type of control for the other game project. Yeah, so you might notice that if I just tap the jump button, the player jumps to a certain height. In fact, let's go over here. Jumps like 1 meter, right? Or 2 square meters, whatever. It doesn't matter if I hold it or if I tap it. It's gonna be the same height anyways. I don't like that. I'm gonna implement this, I'm gonna be implementing this kind of Mighty Gunvolt or Mega Man style jump where like, as soon as you release the jump button, your momentum gets zeroed and you start going down instead. So you can fine tune and fine control your jump. I think we want to have that. I think of the ethos of this game is having very nice movement that feels like, like the back of your hand. Jumping is probably the most important thing to have right here. So I think before I even start debugging this whole stuff with the what are we watching? You're watching some game devin. That's what you're watching. Some game devin and some coding. So yeah, so before that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be making this jump behavior happen. So we're gonna be going to the guts of this player controller code here, which I'm probably gonna do some crazy refactor at some point. Who knows? What's up? What's up, Kieran? Looks cool. Thank you, Lumpia Dev. I appreciate it. But even though it looks cool, it is not cool yet. We must make it cooler. So yeah, that's the agenda for today. We're probably going to put this into the top priority. This here, then do a little bit of this. And if all goes well, I'd like to do some art. I know, crazy. We're going to do some art, some concepts, level concepts, maybe even some character concepts. I really want to do some stuff for the hub world. Start thinking about this area. And then some far off to do. This is gonna be like far to do. I want to refactor our lighting system and re-implement or change how we do re-implement cast lighting, cast shadows for our directional light. So hi, what's up, Sean Moss? Unity is an app for kids. Well, it's a lot of tricks. What is this? Is that because it's cool? What specifically, Rowan? A double jump and the character uses the broom to bounce himself a little higher on a second jump. Well, we already have a second double jump. So that is a thing we do have, Morgan. So that's a good thought process. However, what I like about the early return jump, or like if you release it, you don't go to the full maximum height, but instead you stop wherever you were, is that it gives you a variable amount of control. Like if we have a double jump, you have a fixed height, like distance you're going to travel with the first jump, and then a fixed distance you're going to get with the second jump, right? These are kind of like integer values. Like you either go to the height of 0, 1, or 2. And that's the only options you have, is 3 options. But with this early return thing, at least for the first jump, it has like technically kind of infinite values between 0 and 1 depending on when you release the trigger. that little extra fine tune, not really like infinite, but effectively infinite. It's a float. It's we're not going to worry about precision. In fact, that's not going to be a concern at all, right? But yeah, that's the thing I had. That's what I have in mind for this, just to add some additional. Now the second jump may be a bit more finagly, because like the first jump we have a lot of room for. The second jump, I'm not sure if we're going to do the same thing. Maybe we do it where if you do the second jump, you're going to have this just fixed height you're going to go to that you just can't control. But that's a different thing. Cast light using command buffers or depth map for directional light. This needs to be done. These things need to be done, but they're going to be kind of projects in of it themselves. I miss a split keyboard sound. Yeah, it's been a while, Kieran. I missed it too. Is it Unity? I saw Java syntax, not C# syntax you're seeing, which is basically just Microsoft syntax, Microsoft Java. Crazy to keep going. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it, man. Well, we're gonna start doing this player stuff, and we're gonna close some things here because we're not gonna be. There's a lot of things we can just kind of ignore for right now. We'll deal with the level progression card. We'll deal with all this stuff later. Right now, I just want to get everything into a working order, a clear space, so we can just focus on the player stuff, and then we'll worry about level state, level progress, all that kind of stuff. The messy matching application, level transitions, that bug, which is, I don't know why that's happening. We're gonna have to debug that a little bit, but that's not a problem for now. This is a problem for here, for later. Right now we're worrying about the player controller, and the player movement themselves. Termux, what's up, Secret Herald? Herald. We're using just i3 and Linux i3. Second jump, then dash in the air. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, we're using good old-fashioned Unity here. But before we jump into there, let's actually do the thing. So we're gonna have to look at, I have different modules for all the behaviors of the player, because the idea is I like to attach these modules to potentially other characters if I make more characters. But for right now, I have it structured like modules, and then if we want to change things, I can do a little, I don't know, either a strategy pattern or do something just scuffed, because why not? And let's see what we have here. We have our pause module, level state. No, so actually this behavior isn't done in a module, I don't think. I think I used to do it. Let's see, let's go down a little bit more. Okay, here's the modules. So we have the dash, the jump. Here we go, jump module. And this is where all this stuff happens. And some commented out stuff. Ooh. Oh yeah, because this is the double jump, the wall grabbing. That was a whole thing. Yeah, we're not going to do that. The wall grabbing was kind of rough. I make live and I start with Elden Ring and I have 7 new game pluses. I'm assuming that's what it is. Hola, what's up, Givenchy? Also, what's up, recently deleted V? And Melina is not so hard. I've never played Elden Ring, honestly. Are you a music producer? Yeah, I do music production. Greetings, super coder. I wish you working code and no annoying errors. Sleep plenty. I must go to spread the good vibes. All right, D-Pool Wilson, which I'm assuming stands for Deadpool. I appreciate the good wishes. So let's look at what's going on here. So we have this class. iAction, yeah. Okay, cool. We have this class is grabbing ledge. It has information about if you're grabbing the ledge and the normal of that ledge, whatever. That's not important. That's for the stamina gauge. We're not doing that anymore. A reference to the player, rigid body transform, trigger collider events, all this fun stuff. We're just not going to worry about it. It's not important. And then we have the constructor for this, which is the things we need. And then finally the event for performing a jump. So things are going to be a bit odd here because we have our execute thing. We have this little kind of dumb strategy pattern we have here. And we have the idea of executing the jump, but now we're adding this new concept of like canceling it. So the thing is, it's going to affect like 3 classes for sure, but it's only really relevant for the jump module. So I could just make this an explicit thing here and just worry about that later, because honestly I find myself not liking or just not committing too much to object-oriented principles for my own personal code bases. So rigid, when you cancel, we're gonna get the velocity, or set the velocity to like rigid body velocity. No, not angular velocity. And we're gonna squash the y-axis. Squashing just says, hey, we're gonna keep everything except for the y component and make it a 0. And that's all we're gonna do. So that's fine. Now we just have to go to the player state where this stuff happens. I really want to re-implement this whole player controller because we do some scuffed things here. Like this is, I tried being a little bit clean with it, but now we're just kind of, it's devolved into scuffery. Do you use any pointers? Not in C#. If it was C, I would love to just do just a basic void, or not void pointer, but a function pointer or whatever, but it's fine. Which keyboard is that? It's an Ergodox. Good old-fashioned Ergodox. I have some advice for you to get more views on your videos. I started the account 4 days ago and I have 9K views. Check my bio. I'm good. Recently deleted V. Views are welcome. I like them, and subscribers. I'm not really pursuing that, to be honest. This is more so just for the fun and love of the game. Not to say I don't want, I don't enjoy when people, discover me and hang out and vibe and chill, but I don't know. I'm content as things are, and if things grow organically, heck yeah, and if they don't, I'm fine with that. I'm trying to even remember what I was doing. This is something else. Player move actions is not related to what I'm doing actually. This is a partial class. Player state, that's the other part of this, which manages the requesting of states and the actual consumption of states, or the doing of states. So there's like a check for if we can translate to a state, and then the actual doing of that state per frame. And jump module is being executed. So jump module has some stuff here, doesn't it? So check to see if we're grabbing the ledge, and it'll do its own thing. If not, it's going to do this other thing. Which, by the way, I feel like I could just boil this down into a ternary operator of sorts. I kind of feel inclined to do that actually. So why not? Get rid of some of this. You hit the spam filter in the algorithm with your hashtags, max 6 hashtags. Okay. Nice setup, thank you, man. That code has some dookie. It happens. You're gonna code or just scroll? I'm just looking around, man. I'm thinking. What are you making? I'm revising some player code right now. Revising some player code, making the jump behave a little different. So that, so that the player can cancel their jumps midway through. I'm going to show you, I'll demonstrate the idea to you later, or in a second. Yeah, don't need these semicolons. Yeah, this is like a humongous thing. What are we doing here? Are we overriding? We are overriding a value. That's all we're doing here is taking this rigid body x, preserving the x component and the z component, and just overriding the jump speed. Also, is jump speed the same? Wait, what is this? What is this? Was that whole conditional? I probably had something else. Yeah, because it was due to something else. Yeah, that's dumb. It's a whole dumb little conditional for no reasons. If you're grabbing the ledge, do that, and if else, do the same exact thing. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, let's skip blame that. Let's see who's the problem here. All right. Grabbing ledge is false. Rigid body use gravity is true. Sprite renderer, we update our sprite directions. Yeah. And provide the appropriate sprites to do that and character controller stuff. Alright, I'm going to show you the thing. I'll exemplify the thing we're trying to solve right now. Just give me 1 second. What's the keyboard setup? Just an Ergodox. Good old Ergodox with some Vim. I like the background score. Thank you. Wait. How is bro running a dial-up modder? How are you not, dude? It's 2025. Go back. We have to go back. Redundancy and coding? Why never? I would never. Me writing redundant code? All right. So, just a brief explanation of just what problem we're dealing with here. Right now, if I hold the jump button, you're gonna see I jump largely like 2 square units roughly, right? I jump that height no matter if I press it really quickly or if I hold down the button. I don't like that. So I'm trying to update this so that as soon as you release the jump button, we zero the velocity and you start coming down immediately. We might do some more fine tuning or change the behavior, but I think I want to start with that and see how that feels. Just so that the player has a bit more control over their trajectories and all that kind of stuff. And we'll see how it feels. Respect. Which ID are you using? I'm using Writer. Do you know how to make a FNAF style game asking for a friend? I never made one explicitly, but I imagine it wouldn't be that crazy. At least technically in terms of how to implement it and all that stuff. Which key switches? I'm using, we rock with the sound. I'm using, I think it was a QT Strawberries. Nice linear switches, very good for the carpal tunnel. I gotta say, I know you guys like in previous streams like the IBM key, the old 1985 IBM keyboard, but going from that to this is like, oh brother, it feels like going from trying to squeeze a brick to squeezing a bar of butter. Like, this is so easy on the fingers. There's a reason I used to use this. This helped reduce my or remove my carpal tunnel syndromes. What's up, YouTube, TV, my fox? Sorry, a bit late. No double jump. We're working. Well, we have a double jump, but I want to have variability. Various. It was made in Click Team Fusion. Check it out. Yeah, my boy Jay Dolan actually used to use that too. Or he still did. He made a game that I don't even remember. Like. That game jam was videotaped or it was recorded, and when he presented his game, it was so hilarious. Like, I can hear myself cracking up and dying in the background of a room of people also cracking up. It was crazy. I never really used Click Team Fusion, but it seems pretty cool. I was always on Team Game Maker, but now I don't mess with Game Maker anymore or most engines, including Unity. But that's a different discussion for we're not even like 30 minutes into the stream. I don't want to get into an ideological, like a tech ideology discussion. I feel like I do it too much, man. Distro, it's simple Ubuntu, just using i3 and PyCom. Nothing too crazy. When said, what happens if you put some delay after clicking jump? I don't quite want to do that, because if you press jump, I want it to happen like frame 1. Like, you could do that thing where some games where there's like a certain amount of time before you actually jump, and depending on how much you've held until you reach that limit dictates how far you're going to jump. But I think the big thing for me is I just want to have immediacy. But I don't know, we're going to play test it, right? That's the beauty of iteration, is that you quickly do the thing, or at least hopefully quickly do the thing, and if it works good, awesome, and if it doesn't, well, that's okay. Jump module. What is a jump module going to be doing here? So we set the velocity here, and we can even further simplify this, because I think I wrote this before I wrote a bunch of vector utilities for myself. So now I can just do velocity. Oh, I keep forgetting. Lowercase v. Oh my goodness, so what? Okay, maybe I'm just having a skill issue moment here. Override y. Is it just one? Okay, overwrite y, that's why. And we use player dot jump speed. And this does the equivalent of this. So, yeah, way easier on the eyes. I'm gonna still keep it separated though. And we change these flags and whatnot, and life should be good. And when we go back to our player state, this is for, I believe this is called like, it shouldn't be called every single update now, should it? It is. So I can technically just listen for that here. Okay, so there's a weird thing that's also going on, which is I have this stuff broken into two. We have a thing called a player controller, which actually submits, it actually listens for the key inputs and then submits requests to change the player's state, so that I can use the player, like the user, to control the character, or I can use something else like a script or a coroutine to request states to it, and do actions that way. But that means that there's like this intermediary thing that is involved in all that happens with the character. And this is the camera controller. I'm looking for the player controller. Here we go. This is the intermediary thing that actually responds to the direct inputs. Yeah, and then you see here where it goes player request state and then an enum to the state. So there's like this separation that happens. It's cool because I can like do cutscenes using this, or events or whatever, or you know, do Unreal's kind of thing of like choosing what character to puppeteer or something. The only thing is that now I have to add extra bindings for things like jump. And actually I already have something here. A request state idle. So maybe we just have to change the conditional here when idle is requested and make that specific behavior happen. Alright, 1 second guys, let me catch up on chat, my bad. Earned my subscription, thank you man, I appreciate it, G Dolo. Make GT Ow. What's up, Sergeant? What are you making? I'm changing the way the player moves. Love the split keyboard-centric movements and modern overall vibes. Bravo from one of the programmers to the next. One programmer to the next. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I think this setup only works because it's easy for me to switch between windows and manage it without having to use the mouse. If I had to do like multiple windows split up, like I don't know, like this. Can I do it? Yeah. That would not be great. Also, let me close out of my to-do. Yeah, we don't need that right now. Bros Underworld. What are you making? I'm making a game, Sachmo. I'm changing the way the player works. If this is Vim, NVim, that's crazy setup. Do you have dot files public? No, I don't. This is not. I'm just using writer with idea Vim. So very, very basic. The default idea Vim settings. It's just nice that this IDE lets me. Someone decided to make this IDE behave like Vim, which is very nice. What kind of game is this? Ninja Gamer, 2.5D, 3D, 2.5D pixel platformer, where you clean up a world that's been kind of corrupted and fragmented, and hopefully save your beloved and do stuff. And yeah, we have cool lighting effects. Oh my goodness, why is the frame rate dying on me right now? Game, please. Yeah, this has been like for the kind of game I'm making, it really I kind of feature creep like crazy. Because it's supposed to be a game made in 2 weeks, but then I started making a bunch of custom stuff, like a custom terrain editor and painter, and then my own lighting model instead of using Unity's, and a bunch of jank weird stuff just to be like a bunch of things that's really the things you do if you're making your own engine. But for whatever reason, I was like, we're gonna use Unity, but I'm gonna try to not use as much Unity while using Unity. If that makes any sense. Unity, but trying to make it not Unity flavored. Thank you, Muffin Man. Cozy Tapes, that looks good. Thank you. Why are you using the monitor? Why are you not using the monitor, man? Why did you guys switch to using OLEDs and LEDs and LCDs? This is a question I always posit. But just think about it. When do you remember life being like, the world not being crazy or that bad? It was when these boys were still around. When did things start feeling worse and worse in the world? Oh, what a coincidence. That happened around when all the OLEDs and LEDs and all this stuff started coming around, and 4K and all this stuff. Now, am I saying that's the cause of everything wrong in the world? No. But at the same time, what is that thing they say? Causation, correlation is causation. I'm pretty sure that's what they say, right? That's a term, right? Any statisticians in chat who want to corroborate on that assessment? This guy, bro. Thank you, man. Are you in 1988? Kind of. Can you do your setup tour? Sure. Things don't feel worse. You're just older. Bro, spitting facts. Yeah, it feels so retro. Yeah. 67. The other keyboard I use is from 1985. This mouse is actually from 85 as well. Or at least I believe so. Oh, I need to change the... Yeah, I need to change the coordinate space for this so it's more fast. Oh well. They say correlation is not causation. What, Deacon? No. There is a direct cause. There's a cause and effect relationship between the amount of ice creams eaten during summers and shark attacks, okay? There's a conspiracy there. They want you to believe that those things are not connected at all, that there's no causation between them, but there's a conspiracy here. The shark ice cream gate, or the Ben and Jerry attack gate. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Oh man. Okay, but we do have this transition that goes on here where we request state and we go into consume state where we do the initial trigger, and then I'm assuming we're early returning here at some point because we return if the game is paused. We return, or if the player is paused. We return if the state is frozen and the requested upcoming state is not to unfreeze it. And here's the idle switch state. Which, by the way, if you guys don't want to do this kind of crazy thing, there's a thing called stateless. It's like a C# library, but I think it's a general paradigm. It makes state management a lot easier and for these kind of circumstances. In terms of setting like what can you transition to and what you cannot translate to, and what should be invoked at what time on what change. It's pretty cool. So if you're in the air, then you're gonna put you in the air state, and yeah, you're just there. Oh, I think the jump state happens for like 1 frame, and then you get put into the air state. Oh, so that might be interesting. Equals air or jump, you return. Now we're gonna do something very specific here. Actually, we're gonna do this. So if you're jumping, we're gonna do, we're gonna couple stuff. Who cares? Equals squash y-axis. This is probably not going to work the way I intended to, is it? Yeah, I don't believe it's going to do what I want it to. Yeah, because I decided to be Mr. Modular, Mr. Thinking, forward thinking, Mr. I'm going to do things the right way. And it added some barriers between input and player actions, and now look where we're at. Yeah, it's alright. What brand is CRT? It's a Magnavox. Color display 40. It's pretty nice. It has a green option for when there's too many colors and you just want to have some nice contrast, which unironically is very nice for editing text at times. Sometimes I'm like, this seems a little fuzzy. Let's figure out let me try to read this a little bit better. So much ifs. No, I feel like you're using ifs as a skill issue. We make code with no conditionals. Okay. Yep, very scuffed. Yeah, it's not behaving like I intended to. Go figure. It's because we're squashing jump. So, okay. What did we learn here? If jump is getting canceled immediately. So I might have to add a specific state, which I hate. But that might be the thing to do here. Because otherwise, like, okay, let's actually look at, this might be a symptom of actually a greater issue that's here, which is the fact that I'm requesting idle every frame where there's no normal inputs. Like here, that's what we're doing here, which is technically from the controller's input, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to idle because we're not pressing anything at all. And instead, we need to make this a discrete thing. A discrete thing. Actually, there's canceled. But there's a thing called phase as well. Here we go. So I may want to do an explicit thing. Like the easiest thing right now to do would be like actually just doing this logic here. But that's violating some object-oriented principles. We're gonna have this make a request to do something in particular. And we'll have to add another state here. But we don't need this ledge grab state either, so I guess it's not that bad. I don't know. Well, languages is C#, C#. Thank you guys. I appreciate the answers on my behalf. Become famous. I'm so proud. I know, it's kind of crazy, Morgan. This kind of happened like out of nowhere. It's like travel time and your jump. No, I'm not. We can experiment with that later. I want to do the Mighty Gunvolt implementation first of just canceling out momentum once you release. Partially because I also don't want to have. I mean, I guess you can make it happen as well. There's one implementation they can do where it stops your momentum to do that. There's another way you can do it where you just preserve it, let it lerp or something, so you can still have that preservation of momentum while still having that window that determines how big the jump is going to be. Round text editor with the keyboard is insane. It just comes. You guys can do that too, honestly. I'm not even that proficient at typing, but this is one of the things where if you pay that price up front of just like getting acquainted and rewiring your brain to do Vim motions, it's actually not too crazy. It becomes like that kind of second nature, I guess. Did I add the state here? I know I removed one. And this now becomes, and now all of a sudden we need to make sure we catch this on request. And then we have our switch states here, and now we have this jump, but we also now have this new condition here, which is character state jump released, which I think we're gonna make it cascade down to another state where we do that what do you use for this? Yeah, we just have a private variable. Air. What do we do? Because at the bottom it's going to assign state. Yeah, it's starting to come back to me how this works, or how I did this abysmal stuff. Oh man, it's an Ergodox keyboard. When OBS held you hostage, you're hot sausage. Oh brother. OBS holding my yeah, that was a thing. Well, that happened last stream kind of too, when I tried playing Mighty Gunvolt Burst and I realized, okay, I guess we don't play games on Linux for right now while streaming. Yeah, we don't do outside streams anymore because of that too. Well, partially because of that, but also because my main laptop runs Windows 11 and I haven't had a chance to change it. And it's a significantly less enjoyable experience to develop on that. What was I doing? I was doing something, I believe. We were being productive. Yes, we were being productive. Yep. Squash. No. Is Unity null? I didn't know they had that function. It makes sense, but I didn't know Unity was aware and made that. I'm sure they're aware. I didn't know they offered something for checking that. Okay, so we squash it, and then we set state equal to air. Yeah, that seems right to me. and then return. Otherwise, we set state to, it's not going to be this state, so we just return without assigning. State remains how it was before. So we're going to return one way or another. We're just not going to, yeah. All right, let's see. What's up, ECL Gaming? Cool looking game. Thank you. He's doing a game. Why would you purposely make your viewing experience worse by coding a 1990? What are you talking about, worse? Brother, this is enhancements. This is enhancements. Okay, so we have everything working. So we can... Okay, this lag situation is really... So it's usually not this laggy. I doubt it's NVIDIA. It's pretty sure it's something here. Maybe it's because I'm using PyCom and being fancy with how things look. Oh yeah, I was burning some CDs, guys. Because of course, not only are we using this setup, but when I go to work or I do stuff, I have my trusty dusty CD player with my mix. Just for any proper occasion, you know? For any occasion one may have. Because why not? Why wouldn't you not have one of these? Here we go. Bangers. The Walkman. Is that a tube? You betcha. Only the most tube of TBs we have here. Thank you, Superman. Words, excuse me, while I perish to my early onset rigor mortis. Yeah, it's a good song. It's about our Theo, you guys. He does great. A lot of great original songs using Furnace and having the same sound as we're gonna try killing PyCom, and hopefully this improves performance a little bit and doesn't break things in a terrible way. You talking about to Discman being like an ancient relic? I know, that's crazy, David. That's crazy. Okay, hopefully this actually works properly. It's less so that it's an ancient relic and much more that is just not as convenient as the modern things we have. West Coast USA? No, I've never been there actually. I have an Iowa Walkman with a bass button. That's pretty sick. By setup, it's clearly Unity, but with Rider and Vim Motions and Vim on the. But it's also like Linux subsystem. No, it's actually a Linux operating system, not a subsystem. It's straight up just Ubuntu Linux using i3 for window management. That's all we're doing here. Yeah, just classic. You know, just your usual setup. You know, nothing too crazy. Just, I think this is a pretty average setup. Okay, so that feels very instantaneous. I think for Mighty Gunvolt Burst, that might be fine. Maybe here we have to do like a something a bit different. Like maybe make it less immediate and lerp the valleys a little bit potentially. But that would be a multi-frame thing to do. So like instead of returning, we'd actually assign this to be jump released. So we'd actually have to set the state to be jump release and then have this, because this consume state only happens on the transition. We have to do an update state or state update. So that's going to be what's going to be executed every single frame. We'd have to add this case, add that logic in there. So I might have like a little play test in the Discord. Which, by the way, guys, we have a Discord in the channel description if you're interested. It may not be of interest, but it is a thing that exists, and that is where I'll be posting dev updates and or play tests. The parachute pants to fit your entire setup in the pockets are huge. Yeah. I want to configure it, but at the same time, like, I kind of need them to be huge because at this size, it's where it's comfortably readable. Any smaller than this, and I actually legitimately cannot read what these things are. So, you know, we just gotta. It's one of the sacrifices you make to work with Peak. It's one of the things the prices you pay for greatness, am I right? For superior development experience. Okay, so I think I'll leave this as is. I'm gonna put this in that category of things to test out when I get a chance to in the server. Or at least with like a few people and get some opinions when like OBS isn't chugging my frames per second. Okay, so that's one thing. Let me look into why this player transition business isn't working. By the way, wait until you see me work in Krita. It's like, it's kind of goofy, man. At least Aseprite feels very appropriate. It's kind of weird working in Krita, a program that kind of expects you to have a bit more real estate on your screen, as the kids would say. So let's see, am I missing something here? Is there a reference that's not? Because I remember this working last stream perfectly fine. We're not using a point light. Get out of here. Get out of here. We're using our cozy lights. Our own lighting system, because of course we do. Of course we have. Yeah, it didn't save any of my changes. That's tragic. That's what happened. That's why I'm assuming there's some issues. The issues I'm having is related to that. Yeah. We'll bump that radius up a little bit, like 12 or 25. Maybe change the brightness a little bit. I don't know. Nah, it's good old Ubuntu. Why aren't you just using blend states? Like, rather than having an enum state, you can have a thread hold state that allowed it to transition down. I don't know. That's kind of just the implementation I went with. I guess, yeah, that's your answer, man. But cool new idea. Where is this reference at? Where is the reference? Yeah, we're missing components. We're missing our... Wait a second. No, we have the image there. Yeah, we're missing components here. We're missing... No, we're not. It's in here. Never mind. State transition, trigger, collider, events, level progress card. No, it actually has the correct references. Cool. So maybe I still have the progress from earlier. I think the big thing here. What is it? I think okay. Here's what I'm missing. The player entrance. Is that what I'm missing? Yeah, there's a thing called player entrance. No, that's not player script. Remove component. Yeah, what is it called? player entrance. Or enter, I can't remember what it was called. I know I have it somewhere else. What is the idea of the game? The big idea you're working with is that the world is kind of dirtied and stained, and the people, you gotta go through the world and clean up all the stuff off the ground, and yeah, and then save your love interest or the princess or your friends, whatever. So we have like this stuff on the ground, which honestly, there's some things we're gonna be doing about this. I want to change some things about it because right now it's subject to the fog, because we redid the fog thing to be applied on the final output as a post process instead of on the surfaces themselves. I kind of want to, but as a result, the fog is being drawn on top of it, so it's not very visible anymore. Whereas when we did the stuff directly on the surface, this was, just, whatchamacallit, it was much more visible and it wasn't affected by it at all, so it stuck out. So now I have this question of like, all right, what do we do here? Do I go back to do I just get rid of the fog and do the old implementation, which allowed me some more control about how I composited this dirt effect with that, or do I do some kind of compute buffer thing where we have another thing that just draws the areas that are going to be having this and then composite that afterwards so we can have our thing? And then what is the implications of doing that versus the other one? Because I imagine the first option I have in mind would probably be A, less complex to implement, and B, probably a little bit more performant than having to do this other rendering on top of everything. And you have to do probably a double draw call. I don't know, per object instance, but we'll think about it. That's a problem for future me, and we'll make those considerations when we get there. Programming is so damn tedious. I mean, I know C++, but I couldn't do that as a 9 to 5. Oh, I love it, dude. That is my 9 to 5. Well, I guess it really depends. Working on your own code is very different than working with other people's code, and I don't know. I think also just coding is very fun for me. I don't know if you could tell, but just navigating my workspace is very enjoyable to me. This is dopamine for me. I dig this. I like being able to do this kind of stuff, which definitely helps a bit with having to do this stuff. But then there's also when you're working within your own project and you can architect it the way you want to, and it's nicer. It feels very free to kind of implement on that kind of thing, or to implement that. Whereas professional coding, it's very different because you're usually constrained to constraints not given by you, but by somebody else or maybe a multitude of other people, depending on how you work. And not only are you implementing it, there's other people that you have to work with. So now it's not always just a matter of implementing the most ideal thing for the solution, but now implementing it in a way that minimizes communication surfaces between you and other people, because that's kind of a bottleneck and is a extra cost that just slows things down. And as a result, things are architected around company structures or interpersonal structures versus what may or may not be ideal. There's a whole thing about this called Conway's Law, which applies to that. So commercial programming is very much, or professional programming is very much kind of a different ball game when you're working with other people. Even personal programming, it's fun like this. But I know as soon as I bring somebody else, or if I bring somebody else into this, it's going to change a bit, and all of a sudden there's a bit more of a constraint that goes on here. Whereas right now, I don't care. I can do crazy things and it's fine because I know who it's going to affect. It's going to affect me. So I'll just deal with those things when it happens. So, you know. Oh, the light fell down. It's a very different thing. It's a very different thing. There's also like the safe space to kind of try out different things and structures and whatnot. Because you can't really, I mean, you can experiment with your day job and that's fine, but that may have varying consequences. But here I can try weird stuff and see if it works or not and assess the pros and cons and the cost of them, and you know, I'm not worried about it. In the mountains, grow a knee-length beard with nothing but 80 CRT set up and emerge 8 years from now with the hottest of games if you could. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I would prefer to stay in my basement cave. He sounds younger than me, but just someone who's concentrated on one type of coding. How old is this man? Yeah, I'm nearly 30. I'm becoming 30 soon, or 30 soonish. It's fascinating to see the work in progress like this, but actually doing it myself is excruciating. I feel that. I think also having a vision in mind for what you're trying to aim to is very helpful in motivating this. What you making, friend? A game? I'm not gonna... I'll just call you Synthesis. Good day. What OS? Ubuntu and Rider. That's what I'm using. I'm thinking of quitting, trying to get my bachelor's degree in IT SD because of AI. Am I overreacting? I don't think every time when we talk about AI stuff, right? I think at the end of the day, AI just affects it's not necessarily right, but AI typically affects largely like the junior and entry level roles and stuff like that. But like the people who are knowledgeable or have that information and the people who kind of developed a baseline of understanding just from like doing things the hard way and not getting an immediate solution to what you're trying to do, but instead of having to actually read documentation and build up knowledge base or go through Stack Overflow forums and get peripheral knowledge, I think that's far less likely to be replaced by AI anytime soon. At least that's my thinking. But yeah, I think you're like, I think it's fine. Like it's fine to feel the way you're feeling, but I think there's still plenty of hope for you for getting a job and doing stuff. As long as this is like something you enjoy doing and want to learn and improve at, then I think there's always kind of a place for people with that interest and willingness to get that level of competency, right? But that's my idealized thing. I don't know. There's also like just the state of AI right now is really it's not, hey man, it's goofy. I have 5 years in gaming and you clearly are better than me, and I am 30. I am also going to join your Discord. I appreciate it, J-Beer or J-Beer. Are you interested? You're not like, out of curiosity, are you following the Jai programming project, the code, that language? Oh yeah, sorry, I don't have a Discord. It's in the description. Or I do have a Discord. It's in the description of the video. Yeah, I should probably have a chatbot. Ooh, that'd be a fun project. Maybe I should make a chatbot. All right, 1 second, guys. Let me just get the Discord link for easy access. 1980. AI can't help me with my scientific calculator, so I see hope, but I also struggle finishing it. I appreciate the encouragement. Yeah, I hope that encourages you, Danger. Yeah, like there's two things I always mention is that like AI is the critical issue is like it's something that still requires someone with competency to like assess whether or not the things they're saying is correct or not, or when it does something wrong to actually deal with it, because like a product manager who has like very little experience with programming is not going to be able to debug whatever when that thing hallucinates. And you can tell it, no, do it right this time, do it better. But in that same time, someone who knows what cout is or knows what a struct is would probably be able to figure out what's going on here. There's the link, guys. And of course, there's also the Cozy Cabin Games website if you want all the socials here. So many goading projects I need to do. I need to finish this game. I need to finish the game engine I'm working on. I need to finish doing a whole new TypeScript front end rewrite, and then now I'm adding the chatbot because I don't think it's that crazy. Actually, not even the chatbot. I want to do a dynamic overlay so that you guys can interact with my overlay. I had one before on Windows where like you guys can control a character. When you join chat, a character would pop in on the stream, like in the literal stream, and you can control them and make them play GIFs or do whatever. I kind of want to revive that, do a rewrite of that, and for my OS, and maybe even do it in my own engine now that I have that running. But yeah, if I'm gonna do that, that means I have to have access to this API for YouTube to get chat queries and whatnot, or if I decide to use Restream, if I want to be platform agnostic. So like, why not just add a chatbot to that functionality already, right? Oh man, AI is nowhere near perfect. Yeah, about the recent Deloitte incident which used AI and paid a fine of $200K, I do not know what that is at all. Apologize for so much bad code. Yep. That's what happens with AI. So do a little of the game programming, a little of what you want. Oh yeah, we cycle through things. Honestly, like, this is a game I'm working on, but like the nice thing is that I'm not a professional. Like, this is not my income. This is not nothing. So I do this for fun, and I work on it when it's fun, and when my interest is somewhere else, we'll do that thing that's interesting elsewhere. It's the cool thing. That's why I don't think, like, even if this game sells 1 million copies, I'd probably keep my day job. Cause like, sure, that's cool, but I like the idea of not having my game dev be responsible for my lifestyle or for my, I want it to be the thing that's fun and have no market pressure at all. I think when there's market pressure or financial pressures for making your game, it kind of, at least for me, it feels like it would suck some fun out of it, and kind of a entrance trigger. That's the thing I was looking for. Yeah, like, this is my happy place. This has always been my happy place since like middle school. So I don't really want to soil it. But who knows? We'll see. People say they'll do one thing once if they had $1 million, and then when they have $1 million, do something else, right? But I don't know. I also like my day job too, so it's fine. Why is this not? Do I already have entrance trigger in here? Okay, we're just gonna have to do this. There we go. Indicator pop up. We'll make it this bad boy here. Yeah, dragging is just busted right now for whatever reason. I don't know why that's happened. It was working fine last stream. The beauties. Gosh, man. This wouldn't happen in Wayland. Okay, they're gonna hold it there. There we go. There we go. I just have to hold on to it for a little bit. And let's save our scene a little bit too while we're at it. Program manage all the cigarettes. Yeah, not as much cigarettes. What's your day job? I do programming, VR programming. It's pretty cool. Honestly, it's what made me like go from like a very underskilled and qualified, because I was not qualified for the job. Like, I was, but like in terms of my actual knowledge, I felt I was not even felt. I had the accurate assessment that my skill was not up to the level of the people of all my peers, And that job is what kind of put the fire under my butt to like get good at my personal time, but also like learn like crazy from my coworkers who are super duper smart people, and you know, got me to a place where I don't feel like an absolute glue sniffer when it comes to all this coding stuff. Level progress. Yeah, that's a card. State transition. And I don't think we do any logic here related to that. We better not. And then this also checks for trigger collider events. We should also check for the entrance collider events. That's the thing we need to do. About Puppy Linux, Tiny Core, and Anti, I don't know anything, if I'm gonna be honest, Optimal. But if you have any opinions, I'd like to hear about it, just to get a feel of like what these things are. I'm actually not that big about looking at distros or whatnot. If the thing largely works good enough for me and lets me do the things I need to do, I'm fine. The only thing is that this one, I'm struggling with this one to make it run DaVinci Resolve, but like I don't want to switch to Rocky OS either, so we'll see what happens. It's messed up now that I think about it. Yeah, everything in my UI is messed up. Best place to learn, like programming? Is that what you're asking about? What are your credentials for the job? Like, do you have a degree? Yeah, I have a degree, and I was largely self-taught before that. I think that here's the biggest thing though, right? Because like I feel for a lot of the jobs I've gotten, I never gotten them really based off my skills or qualifications. Like they open the doors for sure, or better yet, they prevent the doors from being shut initially or midway during the process. But like even during my interviews, like there's clear knowledge gaps I have. But I think if you're really good at communicating, like talking, yapping with them, and like I think they would rather go with someone who's low skilled but very communicable and can understand and receptive than someone who's very qualified but like their communication skills like trash, right? And then there's this other thing where it's like perceived competency is different than actual competency. So like you can be like someone who's this competent but you have this level of communication skill, and when you're dealing with people, because of your bad communication skills, they can only really perceive or understand this level of competency. Whereas someone who has like maybe this amount of competency but like this amount of communication skills, to them they're able to perceive this level of competency, right? So they might come like, so that affects things. That's a big factor. You know, it's for some people it's an unfortunate thing, for some people it's fortunate. Either way, that's kind of how it is, right, with human beings. If you're able to communicate good, you'd be surprised how much of a big factor that is. UniRX? Yeah, I'm using UniRX JBeer or JBeer. I just need a lightweight distro. Coding is hard. It gets better with time. How do you self-taught? Googling. A lot of Googling. Need good logical brain. Hi, what's up, Pinar? I dig the bears in your profile. If you can just talk to interviewers, you're in. Yeah, honestly, like even during my interview, they're asking, and this is like a sign of like, hey, maybe I'm not as competent as I was. They're asking me some like programming problem, right? And then after I implemented a solution, they wanted to see, hey, what is the time complexity? And I answered that. And they're like, all right, what's the space complexity? And then like, that's something very basic that most people know, but I didn't know. And in the interview, I told them, hey, you know what? Actually, okay, you level me, man. I don't actually know what that is. Can you explain like what time complexity is to me? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's this. Like, this is what it is. So like this case would be this case. I was like, oh, sweet. Okay, so like with that information, with this, okay, I would guess it's this time complexity, or whatever, right? Like, by asking questions, they almost start helping you out to do the problem, right? Because I think people we naturally want to help each other out, right? And the ability to take new information and actually apply it, that's a kind of a big thing. Even if it's something that seems like very basic and you should have known before the interview. Heck, there's even a part where like they gave me a PDF for like this technical math question. They gave me an ID and they're like, program it. And like I almost got up and left the interview because I was like, this is the limit. I don't know anything here. But I stopped myself before getting up to just quit. And I was like, all right. I grabbed a marker and I went to the whiteboard and I started like throwing stuff on there, and I was like, all right, we're gonna do some cross products and for the problem, and started like talking about it in a very high level thing, right? And I never touched the code. I never implemented the thing they were asking for. But surprisingly enough, like just going into the whiteboard and articulating your thought process and where you're at mentally and how you're trying to get from point A to point B can do quite a lot to alleviate some of this stuff. So you'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised how many things good communication or honest communication can cover. I don't know. At least that's my experience, right? What am I doing? Oh yeah, I was doing stuff here. I was doing stuff in the player control. No. I was doing stuff somewhere. I just don't. State transition. That's where we're doing stuff. Yeah. I recall now. And we're doing component. Nice. Okay, what's up, Tom Collins, and what's up, Mert Can? What you're making there? Making a game. Also, what's up, Katsuga Takashio. Nice to see you. Brilliant TRT, of course. Get yourself a decent LCD, brother. What are you talking about? A decent LCD is a downgrade compared to this glorious station we got here, brother. What am I gonna do with 280 pixels by 1920? What am I gonna do with 1920 by 1080? Like that's too much. All right. Why do I need 1920 by 1080 when I can have glorious 640 by 480? Glorious 640 by 480. That's all you need. That's all you need. On player entered and selected, we're going to do specific stuff. Yeah, I did things a little bit prematurely here. Maybe the game object actually. Doesn't really matter, it's kind of the same effect. And that's why this wasn't triggering, I'm assuming. Better than what he has now. Honestly, man. C++? Nah, C#, sadly. Maybe when I'm gonna do an engine deving stream one of these days, you can do some pure C line and C++. Or the ASCII engine. Oh, that's another project I want to do, is the ASCII rendering pipeline thing in C++. That one's cool because I'm not going to use any IDE. We're just going to use basic foundational, good old fashioned Vim, good old fashioned Vim and GCC. Yeah, we're gonna do that here. That's all you need. But that's not either here nor there. That's for another time. I should probably get stuff done first, be a little productive. One player entered and selected. We're gonna subscribe to go. That's what we're gonna do is go. And we're gonna return early because we're not gonna do any of this stuff. We're not gonna do instant transmission. We're instead gonna do this. If the player entered and pressed go, they're gonna go. I think that's more than reasonable enough. And from there, what are we gonna do? I only know C++ and Visual Basic. Hey man, that's enough for a career right there. I use C#. I was testing out XNA. Interesting. How do you implement a delta time script when moving object skips an obstacle's collision when a frame skip occurs? Wait. Okay, let me understand this question better. How do you implement a delta time script when a moving object skips an obstacle's collision when a frame... So what's the problem specifically, right? Because there's one problem you can be describing where you have an object and you're doing delta time, and let's say the frame chugged for whatever reason. So that with the delta time applied, instead of like being somewhat in here, you actually skip past it. Is that what you're talking about in a more physics-oriented fashion, where you're trying to mitigate objects penetrating through due to like a very chunky frame? There's options. If you're using a rigid body, there's options for that. Using a continuous model or something would account for that. If you're talking about like in your own engine, then that's a different thing. That's a whole different ballgame. With Unity at the moment, due to being the most familiar, but I'm still trying to learn how it works. How Unity works, you'll get there. I think once you get your head wrapped around, I mean, like for intro stuff, like the component stuff is something that people have to think about, and then I don't know, there's just this tree graph of like things that happens. Like if you're going to graphics, there's things you're gonna do with HLSL or maybe a shader graph, but honestly I'd recommend trying doing stuff in HLSL. But like that's a whole separate thing. There's physics stuff, and then there's Unity specific things, and then I don't know. There's a lot of like knowledge trees you can go down, but your interest is what's going to eliminate a lot of the possibilities, or at least a lot of the things with high priority that affect like what you should look at. Okay, we're gonna see if this works. Where's the door? There's the door. Hey, now it appears and disappears. Now I click. Well, I'm clicking, but I'm not going anywhere. So that's kind of where we're at last time as well, I believe. Save component. No exceptions. Nothing of the sort. And we try going to state. So attempt does happen here. Very interesting. Adjust graphics. I have a basic grasp on the coding side. Graphics, interesting. So you're talking about more like HLSL, doing like fragments, vertex shaders, doing like compute buffers, that sort of thing. I mean, have you done stuff with that yet? Sometimes it does when I'm in different FPS. The grabber issue. What game? I'm assuming game. I'm making the game you just saw right now, 2.5D. Shouldn't happen if you're using the physics loop. Yeah. Are you live somewhere else? No, I'm not. I used to go live on both here and Twitch, but honestly, I don't really mess with Twitch anymore. I don't like Twitch as a platform. So I'm sure I maybe or may not do better there, or probably do worse still, because I don't think they really like small creators. But yeah, I just chose not to do Twitch anymore. Just the graphics. Okay, yeah, that's a lot of drinks on one table for one person. Hey, you gotta stay hydrated, man. Gotta stay hydrated. trying to learn to code. What's up, Tazzy Tunes? It's a journey, I can tell you that much. I was an internship as a web developer. I'm curious about game dev. Now where to start? I guess the simplest thing would just be choosing an engine. Starting there. Well, having an idea for what kind of, depends, right? If you want to just do some stuff and you don't have an idea for a game, just start there. Try making anything move in the engine. If you have an idea for a game, that's actually much more ideal, because that's how it helps you escape tutorial hell. I've only dealt with frag shaders. I'll take a while to wrap my head around. Yeah, it's a different kind of thing. You're dealing with parallelism. It's a way different way of thinking about things, and you have to start working with like oh, did someone at me? Never stop. I'm assuming there's more. Oh, hi people. Thanks for joining the Discord. Jai Beer, Bowling Kid, nice to have you here. Used to have the 648. The GPU falling for the 4K meme with NVIDIA is a painful experience. See guys, this is what happens when we put your brain on 4K. No, the thing I was looking at is a DirectX shader model, or shader pipeline, or render pipeline. There's a whole thing there. Maybe I should do a day of like just doing a basic, like teaching you guys, or at least not, teaching may be a generous term. Me implementing just a basic lighting system, and maybe you guys learn something, or maybe I just go too fast, or maybe I don't explain things good and we all just get confused. But that might be a fun thing to kind of just talk about some of this stuff and how not as crazy a lot of this stuff is. Like, when you guys think about like lighting, you think it's crazy, but like you can probably get this, you write your own lighting model, not using any Unity components, and have something like this pretty reasonably quickly. Like getting your own point light working and actually illuminating stuff does not take too much time to do, and it's not that crazy of math. It's just a dot product really at the end of the day. But that's a different thing. Be the first one to ask this. What's up, Grusho? Why are you using a CRT? The better question is, why are you not, my friend? More pixels, more problems. Am I wrong, guys? Am I wrong? Yeah, there's this whole rendering pipeline that is here. Where are you? Where's the graphics? Yeah, here we go. With a bunch of different stages from the vertex to hull. You only really use two things, maybe a third thing like geometry shader or a hull thing, depending what you're trying to do, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. If you get over the hump of parallelism, you'll be surprised what you can do. It's how it's always done. No AI to code. That's some. Nah, brother. This is how it used to be. Dude, AI just happened like what, last week? Okay, what is going on here? Yeah, that's right. We're trying to debug something. That's what we're doing. We have an issue here. We go to go. We go to state. And we try loading stuff. Something, and this is very odd. So this should go to level. That should be what it does, because we're going to in-game and we provide a level number, which, by the way, I should probably change the name of that state, but we'll deal with that later. That's a different problem for later. And yeah, we pass in the application, the level name. We get these modules, reset them. Should probably do like a breakpoint and just walk through this. In fact, let's see. I haven't tried using the breakpoints and debugging on Linux for Unity, so this may either be great or terrible. There's like no in between here. It's either it's gonna just work life is gonna be great, or this is gonna be the worst, most painful experience in my existence, and we're gonna be crying at night. No in-betweens, no in-betweens. We did the printf thing last stream. Now we're actually gonna roll our sleeves up and try to put the foot down. And if we can't figure out the issue here, maybe I open up Krita and we start doing some concepting for art. Because that's also gonna be another fun, weird, wacky adventure. Doing illustration within this monitor, which honestly it looks better. This might sound like a cope, but I actually legitimately, I was like, the art actually looks kind of better on a CRT, weirdly enough. Like, I'm not seeing the discrete edges of the pixels on the edges. It just blends in nicely. Okay, we're gonna run and we're gonna see what happens. Your setup's cozy. Thank you, man. That is the goal we have here. We're just trying to have a nice cozy night, and hopefully you guys feel cozy while sitting and watching this man fight against the horrors of his own creation, which is software. And as for the music, someone asked, it's called Lost Signal. That's not what I started with. I started with this Windows thing, but where's my mouse? I don't see my mouse anywhere. I don't see my mouse. Okay, we're gonna okay, that's interesting. I wanted to click and drag a window over here, but I just realized that we're not having the mouse fail. Oh, and I know why it's not I know why it's not working. It's because the game is stuck in this that's very cool. That is very cool. Can you please let me be free? Let me be free. Oh. See, I thought this was gonna work without a hitch. But it seems I've been taken hostage. I'm not sure. It's probably some X11 thing. I'm forced now to only use i3, but like, I actually physically need to click on either the stop button here or these things to advance the frame. I can't believe I don't have no shortcuts for I don't know what the shortcuts are to change this, especially with my stupid Vim, my beautiful, lovely, yet disastrous Vim configuration I have right now. It's 99% of the time great. Right now, it's kind of really bad. So I can't even walk through this. Or we're gonna have to just kill this process. That's what we're gonna do. F8. Hey, that advances it at least. So we can step through this. Let's see if F9 is a step into. Because this step's next. We go to in-game. Go here. Can we step into it F9? I don't know what that did. Okay, no, that's did step into. So now we're in. Actually, I don't know what that did. My Spanish application, go to state. Did it not go? Okay, now we're just gonna start panicking and pressing all the F buttons. Okay. Nothing has happened. I have control over this. Hey, and I have my mouse again. Beautiful. I don't know what I did. I don't know where this went to though. Beautiful. So if we're gonna do this again, we're gonna have to make sure we have key binding set up in the IDE. That might be a little bit important. That might be just a little bit important. Yeah, we got it back. How many cores do you have? Enough. Don't know a thing on your screen. Yeah, but Barbara, me too, right? Yes, Barbara, he is making a game. Yes, we are. Alt tab, sorry. Is it because of my music request? No, it wasn't your fault. That's not it wasn't your music request that did it. It was a situation where I was already dead and I didn't realize it. And you just made me realize that I was dead already. But as for your request though, this is what I'm listening to right now. I didn't start with this. Lost Signal, Dystopian Mystery, Mysterious Ambient Journey, Sleep Dark Ambient Music by Eternal Dystopia. Very cool. I was listening to this one right here. This nostalgic soundscape. That's a good one. Actually, I think I was listening to this one. One of these two. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Same channel, doesn't matter. But alright. Hopefully that assuages your curiosity. And hopefully you're able to enjoy that song on your own time. Or now. As we work. And I find myself feeling a little trepidatious with this debugging situation. We're gonna have to do it. We're gonna have to be a little dumb. I guess we're gonna have to do the printf gun all the way through here. We're gonna have to do some printfing, guys. We're just gonna have to do that. We're just gonna have to do some printfing. And let's at least make this somewhat easier to parse. And we're gonna use this for a bunch of things. I can't do name of this. Are you kidding me? I can't just do this. That's lame. Whatever. Yeah, we're gonna have to do the gross thing because I don't trust. Or if I'm gonna do this, I have to make my mouse not hidden by the player. I forgot where I do that. If it's in the player script or somewhere else when the player takes control. Let's actually look through this. Start on the top. This probably happens in Awake if I do it there at all. If you Awake, no, it doesn't have any here. Oh, cursor lock state, it happens right here. Okay, never mind, we're gonna do it the right way. We're gonna do the big boy way. The big boy way. We're gonna be big boys today. We're gonna use this again. We're gonna turn on the green button, and hopefully we don't become hostages again in our own operating system. On the one, like, this is a weird cache. It's like, on the one hand, if this happened on Windows, I wouldn't be able to navigate just using the keyboard. Oh, yeah, I can. I can't do too much, but I can do some stuff. But on the flip side, it's like, yeah, but this probably wouldn't happen on Windows in the first place. The price you pay for peak. Trepidatious, more like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, am I right? How about you teach the chat then, employ us, and we start working on developing mind-blowing games. See, I'd like to do that. I'm kind of a control freak, though. I was thinking about that, because I was like, I've done this before. Like, before Cozy Cabin Games, I had another company, and I actually, like, I guess offered internships to work for me on games. But here's the thing, though, right? Even when one person joins a company, at least, and especially with this, where it's like there's a clear hierarchy between I'm the owner of this thing and then you're a contributor. Like, there's a level of management that just gets added. Not even management, communication costs. And what happened with my original old company was that I had this issue where as people, like, it grew with more people, I had to spend way more time, like, doing in meetings and coordinating with people and spending less time actually doing the deving part, which kind of sucks. So yeah, I'm very, very cautious about that. If I scale, it's going to be very slowly because I want to make sure most of my time, or all of my time ideally, is focused on actually making games. I do like teaching people, and I think the best way to teach people is during actual, like in the actual application of like making something. But for this right now, it's one of those things where I want full control. Full control. Can we step? Yes, we go to switch statements. It's called in-game. We go to in-game. Cool. Whoopsie. Accidentally went into a low-level function that I shouldn't have gone into. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna go to level. We set the level name to this. That's correct. And then we step, we do the things you need to do, we reset the dust module, we refresh, we set the miasma visibility, which honestly shouldn't even be set at all. Alright, no, it doesn't even need to be set. We set the level state, we reset it, and we begin the level. Okay. And then we do this publish broker, begin transition, and then we do this asynchronous thing. Oh, I know why this is not working. It's because we turned off our transition manager. It publishes this signal out for someone to do something, but that there's no one waiting to do that thing, so it just hangs. It's just like, all right, I tried high-fiving you and you just ignored me. And that's the issue you can come across when using an event bus as opposed to contractual agreement to do something. But that's not that big of a deal. I think that should be an easy-ish fix. How I can learn to game development? Please show your face here. Now you can look at my old videos. I think I started doing this reverse face reveal. Not because I think the most important thing here isn't my face, it's the equipment and what I'm doing. But my face is not hard to find. I don't speak computer. Is this Python? No, it's C#. Why are you using such an old monitor? It's bad for your... No, it's fantastic for the eyes. It feels like liquid. This feels like liquid ecstasy for my eyes. How could something that feels so good be so wrong? No way. Okay. So now that we have this figured out, let me go back to the player script. Because I believe it's a player that's a player controller. Yeah, here we go. Bring this back, lock the cursor state, and from there, we're not going to look at the string class. I think Unity uses C#. I use Godot, so I don't know. Yeah, it's C#. It's C#. We use good old-fashioned C# and then some HLSL for all graphic stuff, for all GPU code. It's pretty good. It's a good life. Until I make my own engine. And then it'll be a great life. It'll be a fantastic life. Life is going to be splendid. It's already starting to feel splendid. But I really need to... The game engine is calling me like... My game engine is calling me like the Green Goblin mask, calling me to keep working on it. But I need to get this game done. I need to finish a game first. I should probably finish a game before I make a game engine, shouldn't I? Is there a square character with a solid fill that one can use as ASCII graphics as rudimentary pixels? I'm sorry, what? How long will it take you to complete this game? I don't know. As long as it takes. Barber turn. I used to give estimates. I don't do that anymore. So, yeah, that's the best I can do. Nord. The keyboard company? I love that company. Cutie. Is the old monitor that good, or is it just your preference? It's my preference. It feels different than my day job. That's the thing. It's a nice delineation between my professional work versus my personal work, right? Feels very different. So we have this messy mansion application, and it should have a transition animator on here. It exists. There's no instance of it though. Do we assign one? I don't believe we do. Ooh, that might be the issue actually then. Which means that's probably what's causing the transitions to not happen. So what if I just do a little, I don't know, just go in here. And we add this. To here. And then what is this gonna do? Are you gonna access, don't destroy and load, yep. You're gonna access the stuff, yeah. Beautiful. It's gonna do all these things. So honestly, I should make an explicit void init. Grab this stuff, yoink it, put it here, get rid of these brackets that I don't need, get rid of this destroy on load. I could add a little like, nah. One second guys, I'm gonna catch up in chat real quick, just one moment. I'm having a little Jimmy Neutron brain blast, kind of, but not really. There we go. And we're not using this rect anymore, so life is so much better. And then I can go into here, and we can do transition and then add this. What are we adding here? This, literally. Okay, that should hopefully fix things. Now let's get back to chat. Can you tell me which version of Unity you're using, and the minimum specifications for it, like for the game or like for what? It should be very like lean. Like my laptop that has like 2 gigabytes of RAM can run it fine for the most part. So I daily drive i3 too. Let's go Sinful. Let's go Bobcat. Game code looks simple to follow. I've used Java and C++. What's the language? C#. What's this guy doing? We're doing some game dev in Kentaro. Looks familiar. C#. Yep, that looks like Java. Yep. Vim style coding plus game dev. Oh, you already know it, Cody. Plus Linux. Plus all this stuff. I dropped out of my C# class. The guy taught code on a chalkboard. I ended up dropping out of college, but he still sucked. Yeah, teachers kind of suck, dude. Teachers do kind of suck. Or at least bad teachers for coding. Okay. Okay, interesting. So I felt like we made progress, but yet nothing has quite happened, has it? I don't believe anything has happened. So let's look at the persistent stuff we have here. We have the application, which then has this transition animator, which we added as a component. That's important. Very, very important. And this should be subscribed to the message broker to receive transition requests from anywhere in the application. Playful cycle transition. Okay. We should probably also, but it doesn't matter. We set the global shader values to something and then go from there. So, and I think we modify this value directly. So like, even if we don't have the shader responsible or responding to it at all, it just still do its animations the way we expect it to. So far so good. Like that, I think about hacking. It does kind of feel like hackerish. Just Java is stolen by Microsoft though, and well, they made it better. They did make it better, but Java's starting to catch up now. So Now it's all just Java. Just Java. Syntax. No syntax. It was awful. How do you start teaching a language without teaching syntax? That's kind of crazy. That looks 2D dope. Thank you, Julio. Is a nice engine like Unreal and Blender are very resource consuming. My laptop went straight up fire. Oh yeah, Luke. Well, that's why I use Unity instead of Unreal, because the big constraint for me is I want this to be very lean and work on a bunch of stuff. I'm using this for WebGL. For context, I'm going to be publishing a demo and prototypes on WebGL, as well as Linux and Windows and whatnot. So a big constraint is this needs to be very lean as far as memory is concerned, as well as performant, because we're running in a very not ideal environment. So yeah, but I want to go even leaner than that, which is why we have that custom engine project I'm working on, or at least I started working a while ago. Got some progress on there, and then I haven't had time to work on it because this feels much more pressing to me right now. Let's see if this is receiving calls though. We do the init function, and we have it receiving these things. Let's just debug log here that we received. Received. And let's actually put no. I keep trying to do partial stuff to see if it actually auto-complete it, but it just doesn't sometimes. It's gonna recompile. Bro, I love the stream so far. Hope to watch more soon. Thank you. Gonna have to take a break for now. Yeah, it's too good. You do your thing, man. I appreciate your company for the time you spent here, and hopefully I see you in the future, and hope all your endeavors, whatever you're doing, whether it be lunch, breakfast, some sleep, hope all goes well for you. And make sure you drink some water. You gotta stay hydrated. Also, what's up, Washid? And what's up, Saran? Two familiar faces here. Do Unity have blueprints like Unreal and those ready-made assets? They have ready-made assets not in them. But no, it does not. There's an equivalent called Bolt, but I don't deal with that. That's an external thing. It's made by Unity, but it's like an add-on or package you can add to it. But no. I think code is a bit easier to work with than that stuff. Okay. First of all, let's clear out. Okay, and executed. So at least our transition animator is receiving requests and executing them. Play asynchronously, and it's going to do the thing. So now what I wonder is when we do that, what are we requesting it does? Well, it's requesting to do a full cycle transition. So let me see if it actually goes through all the steps required to do that. So it should start, it should end, it should complete. And it has these different things it has to do at different points. And what's the key thing I'm looking for here? In the messy mansion application, or actually where we do the transitions here. We have the message broker, we publish to it, we make a new application transition start, and it's going to load level. Oh, this is so weird. because you're trying to do the things very asynchronously here. It loads a new level, but it's not going to do it immediately. It's actually going to do something. It's going to do it asynchronously, and it's going to have a callback for when the on-level load completed. And we have nested static functions in here because of course we do. Of course we have a nested static function here for when it gets completed. And this gets called after start. So publish, we override any current attempts to transition. There's nothing to execute on start, but after we start, we begin the process of loading the next level. And after we complete it, we publish to the mesh transition animator to, hey, it's time to fade back in. So this transition animator, what it does is it plays this transition where it covers the screen in black, loads the level, and then when the level is done and ready to be presented, we fade it back from black to transparent and play that animation, and everything should be done there. So what I'm wondering is if this function is ever getting completed. That's what I'm wondering about. Are we ever getting that on load completed thing happening? All right, let me catch back up, guys. 1 second. Hey, have a good night. Thank you, Arda. Let me see. What do you recommend learning, Java or Python? Java. What do you think of Python? I hate having to align everything so I don't use it. I think, especially if you're an early programmer, I think you should use a dynamically typed language. So like that, I think that's a bare minimum. You should use a dynamically typed language. It's going to be very helpful for you. It's a bit more to learn, but I think it's going to form some decent, good, not even habits, but just understanding of things. I think dynamically typed languages are kind of a terrible thing for making anything that's of significant complication or complexity. They're nice because like there's not very much things to learn in the beginning, and you can do stuff pretty fast. But the thing is, like, once you start making something that's actually non-trivial and is a couple hundred lines long or maybe even multiple files, the issues start cropping up. So that's my opinion. Now, if you want to even like a hot take, I say you should learn C first. Like, learn some basic C. Understand that there's a thing called a stack and a heap that lives on RAM. First, you should learn that there's a thing called RAM that your computer has. And there's different ways of allocating things to that. So I think that's important to learn about. You should learn about pointers and the concept of like passing by reference versus passing by value. I think that's important to know. And yeah, I think like that's some good stuff, man. That's some good stuff, dude. Doing a case game. My keyboard's an Ergodox keyboard. Say Python is beginner, so anyone that's trying to program can try Python. See, they say that, right? But I think doing something with dynamic types is good for you. Even if you learn that first and then switch to Python or maybe GameMaker language for GameMaker Studio or JavaScript. I think having those foundations are going to be very important. I think there's no substitute for that. And Java or C# or whatever, like statically typed language, is gonna force you to build this kind of concept of code that these dynamically typed languages don't force you to build. Having to alter something that worked for it to not to work with something new. I'm still way new on C++, Hey, but that's good though. C++. After load, what's going on here? Where your field is, so can't recommend you anything, but before learning programming, you definitely have a grasp a little of maths and data structures. Kotlin is bae. I don't know, man. I've never tried Kotlin. It looks interesting, but it almost feels a little too terse for me. Like, as far as how it condenses stuff, it almost feels a little too terse. But it still has my interest, especially as as an alternative to TypeScript. I can say that much for sure, because you can transpile to TypeScript or to JavaScript from that. But I don't know. When I watch cartoons, heck yeah. So then, I was introduced via Python, and I understood nothing else afterwards. Python is basic English speak. C# or just C even teaches more how computers actually work. Yeah, 100%, Morgan. 100%. Like even JavaScript, which has like a level of abstraction to it. Like even JavaScript. We're gonna do Java, or not JavaScript, Java, or not JavaScript, Java. Even Java and C# with their little platform agnostic abstractions and GC compiling and stuff, they still force you to learn certain things, like, hey, there's a thing called pass by reference and pass by value. Classes pass by reference, structs are pass by value typically. That's a simple thing that other languages don't teach you. They have some basic form of like static allocations, so you can still do like allocation. Even though a lot of things still get allocated to heap, there's still some idea of the heap. The heap is actually a concept that exists, which, like, for JavaScript, that's just not a thing. And then of course there's type enforcements. So you actually have to treat things the way they're defined. So you have to actually define things and then work by those contracts. And then they have like explicit object-oriented structures like abstract class, interfaces, yada yada yada. And I know people are like, oh, the object orientation is terrible and bad and all this stuff. Here's the thing though, like, we live in the world where this is a fundamental paradigm that's already exists and is used by a bunch of different companies as part of their code bases. So like, you're gonna have to deal with these things anyways. So you should learn, like, there's this whole gap of like not knowing anything about object-oriented coding, and then you read an Uncle Bob book and then you start doing super object-oriented coding, but then you start realizing the bad parts of it, and then you start going the other route where it's like, okay, I know when to use it and how to use it, and I'm aware of it, but I also know when not to use it. But like, either way, to get, like, you have to go to that level of competency at some point. So like, these languages have things that allow you to deal with this, that like doesn't exist in a very explicit manner in those other languages. Like, even this basic stuff, I think is important to construct it mentally. Just fat variables. 2.5D pixel platformer, like 3D platformer, is studying engineer at programming. He was programming a thing where it sorts the data of the cars. Is that hard? I mean, it depends on how you're sorting it and how much data you're dealing with, because volume of data makes a big difference. Like, if you're sorting like a list of 100 things, then it doesn't really matter. It kind of doesn't really matter, because even really slow algorithms will still be more than fast enough on your computer over that size of data. If it's like, billions of entries, okay, that's very different. It's also like, where is your data coming from? Is it just one file? Okay, that's easy. Is it from databases? Okay, that becomes way more complicated. Let's see what we got here. In the cloud computing field, so I would be grateful if someone recommended me which to learn first. Yeah, I cannot help you there, Saran. I cannot in good faith offer any knowledge because I have none knowledge or experience in cloud computing to really give outside of just implement something. But yeah, I cannot really give too much information on that. Many beginner programmers don't do or like the rule of dry. I think it's difficult, more new programmers, but as you gain experience, the rule is necessary. Yeah. Right now I'm working on my CompTIA certs, and I have the network and should be getting my security. Hey, congratulations. Even just getting your CompTIA initial stuff is hard. How many times I've seen people dealing with a bunch of interfaces in class for a simple one-liner. Yeah, it's hell. It's hell. Yeah, if you don't know how to use it, that's what I'm talking about. Like when I was up here for my personal project, like this code base that only I'm using, I had like single interfaces for single class for one, like interfaces that are implemented by one constructor class. And like, no, I'm just kind of going through and trying to rip out this stuff when I see it to just make it not as complicated and over professional for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't gotta try so hard. This is my thing. It's not about trying so hard. You're adding extra things. Like a lot of these object-oriented principles are not always, like sometimes they're actually useful and they actually make sense for problem spaces, but oftentimes like usages of this stuff is not due to any technical limitation, but a human limitation where there's a communication barrier and two people have to work asynchronously from each other. So they have to draw these lines, these boundaries of communication, and these structures form in the presence of that boundary, and you oftentimes get things that are not as ideal, but they're necessary if you want to have two programmers working at the same time on related things. So like, you know, it's kind of what it is, man. Oh, sick. What is a rule of dry? Don't repeat yourself. That is what it means. So like if there's a function you're going to be using a bunch, instead of copying it, or instead of re-implementing the function or a bunch of times redundantly, you can just make one general function. So like, I don't know. So for example, I have this static class called vector utilities, and it does its basic operations for vectors. So like, let's say I want to make the y component of a vector, right? Let's say, or squash y. Yeah, let's say this one, right? So here we have this function that takes in a vector and returns a vector, and all it does is make this value, the y value 0, right? Now, without this function, you see there's 13 places in my code base where I would be doing this, and it would be kind of big and annoying and gross. So instead of doing that and having this duplicated everywhere, we just make one function, and instead of repeating this logic, we just use something that's much more simpler. So like, let's even go to one usage of this. Like here, for example. So instead of just having this dot squash axis, I would have to do this big thing of like making a new vector, and then I would have to actually store this value first and then do this. Like it'd be a big thing. I'd have to actually make a var a, and then in here where we do this, I'd have to do vector 3, and then we have to have a.x 0, a.z, and it's a bit longer and a bit more verbose, whereas like with that function you just have this, one little function, and it just works. So like that's a kind of simple example of don't repeat yourself. That's like a general rule from like Uncle Bob and clean architecture and whatnot. But like, yeah, it's a principle. And even that principle, like once you start getting good at that, like there's times where it's actually fine to repeat yourself, and you know, it's not the end of the world. I think there's like a good email chain from like what's his face, John Carmack, about this idea of like when should you move things into a separate function, or like that's like for big functions that happen multiple times, not small stuff like this. This is very obvious to just do that, but there's times where you might want to do something else. How many times I've seen people dealing, yeah. What is role job? Yup. Microsoft offers, yeah. Agreed. Best job security hack. Said hi. What's up? That's what it is. Us functions are also called methods, I think. Yeah, either or. It's fine. Wow, nice codes. Thank you. Said hi. I was taught to call them methods. Said hi. What keyboard are you using? I'm using an Ergodox keyboard. It's free. Try checking out CS50 Stanford and MIT courses. You'll get good. Yeah. All right, I was debugging stuff, wasn't I? Yeah, I think for anything, like there's that general curve you go through, and you know, everyone goes through it. I think most people go through it, and it's fine. Initialize map states. This music feels very kind of eerie. Let me put on this ambient. And also, let me use the bathroom real quick, guys. 1 second, be right back. I've been drinking a lot of liquids, which I guess is good, but also your boy gotta use the bathroom, so be right back. Be right back, 1 sec. All right, we're back. All right, tank emptied, hands washed. Life is good. I'm trying to refuel some gamer. I used to not drink Gatorade because it was like the food coloring stuff, and I don't know when I stopped caring about it. Oh well. Today we're getting electrolytes. We're getting electrolytes. Thank you, Lily, or Lil Kevin. I appreciate it, man. It sounds like the PlayStation 2 startup. Yeah, that's what we like, man. What's the game you're making? I'll show you a little bit of it. What monitor is that, bro? It's a real CRT. Yeah, real honest-to-goodness CRT, a Magnavox color display 40. Good old CRT, yep. What's up, Jayesh? Jayesh? This is the game I'm working on. It's a good old thing we're working on right now. Sheesh, it's a little... So I think we're going to do this, guys. We're going to do a little A-sprite work in today. We're going to do a little bit of A-spriting. Because this is an asynchronous problem. And this part of the application state transition stuff is always weird. Partly because of that, but also partly because like yeah, it's partly because there's all these asynchronous things that are happening that need to chain and trigger other things, and it's a whole kind of mess. And the other things in my little to-do thing that I have here. Here we go. Like, yeah, there are level concepts, character concepts. I also want to fix the player. Oh, there's one more thing I want to fix with the player, which is that the sprite, I don't like the drop shadow, how it works. Because right now the drop shadow is showing when the player is on the ground, which I guess is fine. The thing is that, like, the drop shadow is mostly there just for... It's mostly just there to show you where the player is in the air. But when you're on the ground, like, you don't need that. Also, it's like kind of glitching a little bit. So we're going to do some adjustments to that. Also to the player sprite, because it's off-centered now. Man, when the game is running at low FPS, the plane is really easy to spot. So yeah, we're gonna do some changes there. We're gonna do some changes to this. And I think it should be relatively easy. I think we're gonna do probably some kind of smoothing function and some difference on the offset. Drop shadow, caster. Here we are. We're gonna change the vector offset here to be like, I don't know, scaling, position, hit point vector up. Oh, I already have a constant here. How nice. We'll do like 1.5 to prevent some Z fighting that's happening right now. And honestly, can I make like let's make this even easier to read. Can I do const vector 2s? Is that allowed, or do you not like structs being defined with new? Yeah, it's a heap construct. You're not going to be, or are you? No, you're not happy with that. Okay, so we have to actually define this. The best I can probably do is like, I don't know, static or whatever. It's not a big deal. We could do this. Okay, and then on start, we're just gonna do offset equals. You know what? Actually, no. It's fine. We can do this recalculate. It only happens in one place. Screw it. I like seeing exactly what's happening at where, and this vector dot up kind of indicates to me what's going on here. And right now that this is a scale, we're not doing anything with the transparency. So what I think we're going to do is that as the player gets closer to the floor, the more transparent it becomes. Also, did someone join the Discord or did I get added? What's going on here? Hey! Good to see you, Javier. I need to make some new animated GIFs. Maybe we'll do that today. And don't worry, Hunter, I'm going to read this when I can read and with a clear mind. Guys, I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit fast. Also, what's up, Jewel? Thank you. And Nick, I'm glad you think it looks amazing. What are you doing? What you making? We're making a game. What are you doing all this? Yeah, I'm just making a game, man. Just making a little game. Just making a little gamey poo. And right now we're changing how the drop shadow works. So when you move, there's like a drop shadow that shows down there. I almost want to make it done through the shader, but that's fine. There's a drop shadow that goes down here. And right now when you're on the ground, it's very much apparent. I want to make it become less apparent the closer the player is. So is there a way to change transparency on this bad boy? I believe at some point there was a way to do that. Vector 1 times scale. Scale. So that's a big size, and that's the lower bound, upper bound and lower bound. So it's like inversely proportional. Okay. And we match the surface. Okay. Yeah, I'd prefer to have this stuff be constants, just so I can modify them at a glance. Scale lower bound, or I guess min size. I'm gonna make another one here for max size. No, thank you. And what I did, it was like 0.9 and then 0.08. So 0.08 and then 0.9f. And this will be max size, min size, and this is the distance, inversely proportionate by 8, because that's whatever factor we're using at this point. And I'm assuming we're going to use this as well for transparency. Game object shadow. Does this have a renderer on it? Because we're going to need a renderer to set transparency. If not, we can just turn it off, but that's going to be very abrupt. I don't like that. What's up, Udayan? Damn, best PC setup. Thank you, man. Split keyboard and CRT. You already know, Kumar. What is it like programming on a CRT? I might pick this one up. It's pretty good. But like, keep in mind, you have to make sure your workflow is oriented around like having one thing open at a time. You're not going to have windows floating around. You're not going to have like split screens, or maybe you can, or maybe it's fine, but just make yourself get oriented to just having one thing in focus at a time. My engineering in AI and data science, but now I don't know what I learned of my engineering, anything for starting from fresher. That's a very interesting situation to be, Jayesh. You said you completed engineering in AI and data science. Like, is that a degree, first of all? And you're saying, I don't know what I learned. So you're saying you completed your, like, something, either a degree or a certificate, but you don't, are you saying that you feel like you didn't learn anything there? And you want to start fresh? To even read the code. Oh, is it really too blurry, guys? What are you programming? A game. What you doing? Game. Making a game. You should work at Blizzard. You should work at Blizzard. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good, man. Oh, man. It's kind of weird. How like this is not the comment about that, right? Because like, but I've been seeing people like do that pirate software thing, and like when I take a look at some basic stuff, I'm like, it's kind of funny. I vehemently do not want to work in the game industry. If I work in the game industry, it would be independent, and even then I don't want to work for money on my games. But then also like, I used to be very into GameMaker, but then I was like a couple years ago, I was like, nah, friendship with GameMaker broken. I'm using Unity, but the ideal would be using my own engine eventually. I already started it, but we're gonna get back to it again. But it's kind of goofy how like certain things are just not. They're kind of antithetical in a weird way. Oh man. Okay, I'm just gonna assume that render is gonna be fine. Equals get component. No, I'm pretty sure I did lowercase g there. I'm sorry. Am I crazy? Are you calling me crazy, game? I'm not crazy. You're crazy. What? Okay, and what is happening here? What is happening here? I'm not wrong. Something's wrong here because I know I'm right. Code. And you're not going to convince me that I'm wrong either. I know for a fact it's a mono behavior function. I know for a fact that game object is a private field these guys have. No, never mind, I am wrong. This isn't a mono behavior. Oh. Never mind, I am wrong. Bad assumption. Bad assumption. We learn. We move on. It's okay. Component. Get component. Render. Okay. And then we're going to do this inverse proportionate value, which we'll call this float alpha. And well, again, it'll be distance. So as distance gets bigger, the number should get smaller. And if it's below a certain threshold, we're gonna set the alpha based off of that. And of course, we're gonna do some clamping. So math f clamp 0, 1. And finally, render dot material dot set no alpha. Yeah, I have to set the color. Oh, this is gonna be very odd. There's no alpha property on this because it's just a regular old material. So I gotta hope that the material I'm using supports alphas, which I hope it does. I believe it does. And we're gonna just do. I need to make another vector extension just to overwrite the W component or A component or whatever. Overwrite. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna catch up in chat, guys. My bad. I just got a little carried away. It's okay. It happens to the best of us. Return a vector 4, and we're gonna keep the vector value, and then vector W is gonna be value. Okay, cool. This should work now. I should go back to drop value, bring this bad boy back, and it'll be dot material dot color overwrite. Oh, I forgot to color value, not a vector 4. So we have to do this whole thing again, but now for a color instead. But it's okay. Life finds a way. And now it's gonna be R, this is gonna be G, this is gonna be B. Okay, now for real this time. Overwrite W and it'll be alpha. And life is good. Okay. Let's wait to compile and run. Let me catch back, guys. What Unity version is this? 2020 or something. What are you programming? Are you doing programming in Mono Edit? Nah, I haven't heard of Mono Edit in forever. I'm just using Writer and C#. Try something course of Coursera. Yeah, Coursera is great. Some serial experiments. Lane, if I had a CRT. I've heard of that. It makes you kind of want to check it out because it seems kind of that same vibe. You'll make us a new anti-cheat for R6. You're crazy. Let's go crazy. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm back. Welcome back, ECL. But make yourself proficient in maths and AI. You need definitely some basic maths, especially linear algebra. As a fellow guy, I did many projects on it, and I recommend that. Yeah, linear algebra is very helpful. Very a lot of applications in graphics and games and AI now. What you deving? GTA? Nah, not even close. Nice CPU. I appreciate it. Yeah, dig the vintage. Yeah, man. Do you know Flutter? No, but a coworker brought it up the other day. But no, I know nothing about Flutter. Which speakers? These are Yamaha Y5s or something. I forgot. It's been a while. Something like that. They're a Yamaha studio speaker. No, not 5. It's probably 6. I think so. Yeah, I was gonna press play. Don't think of what you did there. Think of present. First step, get yourself strong in logic and maths and learn Python and then understand. Nah, brother. Okay, actually, no, I don't know. You might be talking specifically about something he's doing, like, I don't know, maybe some stats or something. I have opinions about what language people should use if they're gonna do, like, become a software developer, but this is not working. That's wrong. That's really wrong, actually. Okay, so what's going on here? I'm assuming there's an exception going on, which is where all my problems are stemming from. And if I close this, missing component exception. There's no renderer attached to player. Oh, transform only. Transform refers to the player, not the actual object we're moving around. Shadows the game object. Okay. That's an easy mistake. Simple mistake. We like simple mistakes. So instead of transform, we do shadow instead. And then we just press play and hopefully everything is just good, dude. How would somebody get into software engineering with no experience? Is it worth it to go back to school, or should you just learn yourself and look for opportunities like the unorthodox way? I mean, okay, here's a question, right? Like, what do you even want to do in software engineering? Because that's going to change stuff. And it also determines like what I can really give information about. Because there's things that are very much gaps in my knowledge. If you're going to do game deving in software engineering, then I think a very easy to place before you commit to going to a school, before you commit to doing anything. I'd advise finding a local game jam in your community. There's one that happens, it's coming up in January, called Global Game Jam. Game jams are events where you spend 48 hours making a game. If I were you, I would go to that. Maybe try doing some projects and get familiar with the engine first. But you can just show up there with no experience and say, hey guys, I have no experience, we're going to learn today. And game jams are going to be your biggest indicator of whether or not you like this kind of stuff or you don't. And it's also going to be a great opportunity for you to network with people and meet people, and also good pressure to actually learn stuff when there's actually a time limit. Now, when I talk about networking with people, it's not about like a business thing or anything. It's literally being in a room with people smarter than you and trying to learn as much as you possibly can. The biggest limiting factor to any kind of development is we're going to bring it back again because I always talk about this every single stream. It comes up, but it's such a real thing. So I think it's good talking about it. There's like 3 domains of knowledge that exists in life, okay? 3 domains of knowledge. There's the things that you know. There's the things that you know you do not know. And there's the things that you don't know that you don't even know. And this barrier right here is the hardest barrier to cross over, because if you don't know about it, there's no way for you to learn about it. And the only real way to cross from here to here is either having people who know more than you and who will point out these ideas that you never heard of before, like something like Git. I didn't know about that until like 10 years or 8 years or 4 years later, until I got to college and someone brought that up and I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's how people collaborate. You can also figure stuff out by just Googling and trying stuff and throwing stuff at the wall. I think it's important to do that. But the points in my life where I've had the significant amount of growth was usually coupled with someone who knew much more than me saying, hey, let me put you on game, and explaining something to me. So like, for example, like I remember in my job, my mentor at work, or the person who was like, you know, kind of who was there for hiring me and was kind of onboarding me, helped me out a bunch. He's like, do you know what reactive programming is? And I was like, I have no idea what that is. And he explained what it is and what metaprogramming is. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. This is a whole new concept that I never would have conceived of. But now I see not only that it's a thing and that it exists, but how to use it. But yeah, this is the barrier you need to cross. And I think a Game Jam is a great place to go for that kind of thing. Outside of that, projects and Discord servers and that kind of stuff. But yeah. JS, do as many projects as you can. The more the better. Yep, 100%. He's either making a game or deving a game, basically putting mods. And no, I'm making a game. Making a game. Are you Windows? No, I'm using Linux, baby. Just using good old Linux. Good old baby Linux. Alaria. Is this a class? Not really. I'm just making stuff, but sometimes a class happens. How do I pass C++ to class? I don't know, man. Night Fury just joined. I was bored. Hey. Well, I'm glad to have you here, Night Fury. Bro, is coding on a tube TV? He definitely despises people who use ChatGPT. Kind of. Not really. I don't despise people. I feel more like, especially for younger people, I feel sad in a certain way, because people who are using ChatGPT are missing out on a lot of good information, and it's making them a bit much weaker as a developer or whatever endeavor they're doing. So I think they're missing out on some stuff, and that might bite them in the butts in the future. And it's not like AI is, I mean, there's a moral dimension to AI we're not going to talk about, but as far as like its utility, there is utility to AI. It's just that, you know, I think it's enabling learned helplessness for a lot of people, and I don't think that's good. And I think if we do keep going down that pathway, we're going to start losing critical knowledge by not doing things the hard way. And that's the thing that kind of concerns me, and the thing that kind of makes me feel bad when I see a lot of usage of AI. Okay, I did the thing, I believe, so I believe I should just be able to run the game and everything should work. Just be too good. What are we coding? I'm going to show you right now. I use it daily. VS Code, GitLab, Copilot. Brother, you're super in the sauce. You're super in that AI sauce. And here's the thing, right? Like I said, there is use cases for it. And it's fine, especially like within corporate environments where maybe there's other pressures or factors. Oh my goodness, what is happening here? Oh, wait, 1 second. The issue is with people who don't have that schema built up already, that foundational knowledge built up. Okay, this is not working how I intended to. Let's see here. Player. The drop shadow. Yep. Here we go. What kind of renderer are we using here? Unlit transparent. Okay, so we are using a transparent. but I think we might have to have one that has actual color factors here. Maybe I should just make a new shader just for this guy. Transparent cutout. Yeah, because I'm not sure if this has any... I don't believe it has the properties I'm looking for here. When it comes to rendering. So let me rename this real quick. Yeah, rename this overload to be overwrite alpha. To create parsers on the fly. Which font do you use? I have no idea. I think this on this machine is like the default thing. I used to use Proggy Pro and other stuff, but edit appearances. Fonts, where are you? Am I blind? Am I not seeing it? I might be blind, dude. It's probably just the default JetBrains one. In all honesty, font. Yeah, JetBrains Mono, the basic baby one. That's good though. It works for me. So, what's the game about you're making? Just a 2.5 data where you're dealing with a world that's kind of been stained and kind of corrupted, and you're a cleaner going through and cleaning it up and trying to save a princess or your counterpart or whatever who kind of saved you from the corruption side of stuff. I have a better elevator pitch somewhere else. That's kind of the general idea. So good to see. Thank you, Luke. Yeah, thank you guys for being really chill and cool and just digging this kind of environment, digging the kind of work we're doing, and just digging the vibes we have here. I appreciate it. Yeah, game development platforms, I don't know, probably High Yoke. How many years did you spend on coding? Probably like 10 something years at this point. Probably not. This game, part of it's like the idea of just getting good, and if anything, like you can like get some boosts and stuff, and I guess you can make yourself kind of overpowered, but you can also put handicaps on yourself. And at least for me, the way I play certain games, like it's kind of very much I like playing games where I can add handicaps to myself and get some kind of trade-off for that. Yeah, so we're gonna have to make something here. I think we're gonna make a yeah, because the drop shadow is not becoming transparent. Drop shadow. Good day, guys. What's up, Omar? Are you a fan of black and white games? I mean, they're cool. Chat and vibe plays. Thank you, Fury. Yeah, I'm the same. In the near future, I'm gonna need dev for a DayZ server. Do you have a degree? I'm studying CS right now. Yeah, I actually have a degree. I studied CS, but then I switched to IT because it was a bit easier for me and a lot more chill. But you know, yeah, I have a degree. But degrees just kind of open doors up. Are you strictly game dev or just doing it for fun? Yeah, I'm a game dev. I mean, not my day job, but it's kind of tied to it. I'm using game deving tools for my day job, though it's a significantly more serious environment as far as the work is, like the actual work we're doing. But the people are very chill there. Just hopped in. Technically, what are you doing right now? Fixing errors, adding features, or I'm totally off? No, you're right. I'm making some adjustments to the drop shadow. I'm trying to make it more transparent as the player gets closer to the ground so that you don't see this annoying drop shadow there, but instead you only really it becomes transparent the closer the player gets to the ground. It's kind of the opposite of what you might think about, but like when you're on the ground, you don't actually need a drop shadow. But I'm finding this little dumb issue right now where transparency is not going to work with the shader, and I really don't want to write a transparency shader because it's always kind of dumb. There's always something dumb that goes on with it. I never have a good time writing transparent shaders, but like I have a more fun time writing my own lighting model than doing stuff with transparency, because transparency is always jank. But yeah, I think I might have to do something with this. There's either, yeah, I can't see. Yeah, I might very well have to just write my own custom something simple for this, just so I can modify it, have a color modify it. I think there's no base RGB transparent A. No, transparency should affect this actually though. I feel like it should actually. Maybe I'm just modifying this the wrong way. I'm modifying the color property, but actually it's saying that's what it is though. And I don't see any other fields I can really modify here, except, you know, directly modifying a property, like doing set property or set float. Maybe there is a float for just alpha as well, but I don't know what that would be called. Can I decompile can I look at a decompiled shader here? Let's see here. Branding, dope, thank you. This seems so cool. I wish I had the dedication and patience to be a dev. I'll just live through people like you. I appreciated a high concept image branding. Yeah, I was very happy when I made the Cozy Cabin logo. I even have it engraved into the custom keyboard case I made for another game. But yeah, the website, the one thing I like that's preventing me from, because we have the website, the Cozy Cabin Games website, and like I kind of want to do like a Y2K classic style version of a website where like you use tables and stuff like that instead of using this TypeScript framework that I cooked up. But like terrible TypeScript framework, by the way. Like if I were to touch this, I need to rewrite it because it's like actually garbage. But at the same time, like this feels kind of cool. I kind of like this interactive feel of it. So I don't know. My brain's like, the rework of this website is three-pronged. Like one side of me wants to just do a basic HTML, CSS, nothing else, no JavaScript, no nothing, remake of it and make it feel like I don't know, like the Final Fantasy 11 website. Which, if you haven't seen it, it's like peak classic web design. So one side of me wants to do something like this. The other side of me wants to make this fictional console idea I have in mind, write it in C++, and then use mscripting to compile to WASM, and have this website feel like actually look like a PS3 style kind of, or maybe a Wii style UI, and let you navigate it that way. So that's like option 2, and then like option 3 would be much more of a simple, more mediary version of this, of just extending my current TypeScript thing and then have it kind of behave like a more traditional website. But I don't know. I feel conflicted. There's so many desires and wants here. But yeah, you make a good front-end I'd be a terrible front-end programmer because like I'm fine with doing this just because I got to write my thing by myself in my own way. But having to use like React or something, like using other people's abstractions, I would just probably not enjoy it. Here's the Cozy Cabin Games website. And there's, I mean, the framework's here, or at least a previous version of the framework's here. Like it started off as like just a toy little game engine project for Java, for web, and then it just kind of morphed into that kind of thing, where I don't use WebGL. This is not using WebGL. It's still like just normal HTML elements, but because I wanted to add the capability of having like SOA or whatever, search engine optimization. Search engine optimizations, and also like have text that still behaves interactively that you can actually select and interact with. But I mean, you can do the SEO stuff without that, but like having people being able to copy and paste stuff from the website and the document. But yeah, it's kind of jank. I'm split here though, because like this is not something there's already enough to do. Which, by the way, guys, we have a Discord in case you guys want to join. Actually, I'm probably gonna post some ideas here in the ideas channel and have people think about this. I may spitball a little bit until I figure out what I want to do with it. Maybe vote or something. Either way, yeah, so much to do. So much to do. When it goes farther down, you should make it like a classic vibe place. Oh, like it starts off reactive, but then it becomes a classic vibe thing. SEO, there you go. Hi, I'm Programmer 2. What's up, fellow programmer Melon? It's good to have you here. Make yourself cozy. How many indie games did you make? I mean, like, fully complete, probably 3, but I've made a bunch of game projects that just ended up dying in some form or fashion. Oh yeah, I was gonna try seeing if I can. Please. Okay, edit shader. Compile and show code. Yes, please. Main text. So there's no property here at all. There's no, or at least I'm not seeing any property here for this. Okay. Lots of checks and balances here. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find a property here that I can modify. To find some global buffers. Oh, because it's including the Unity object-oriented stuff. This is a pretty small program, though. Void. It's actually showing the actual full thing. That's cool. Not the user HLSL stuff. Okay, and here's the locate layouts. Yep, this is familiar. Okay. And the outs for the vec and fragment path programs. And they kind of append them together like this. That's cool. And this is for the, I'm assuming the vertex. Yeah, it's used by the vertex. So let's look at the fragment. Is there any properties here? SV target main text. Vector 2, that's for UVs, I'm assuming. Yeah, text chord 0. SV targets. Yeah, so I'm not seeing anything I can actually use for modifying this. It's not doing, there's no multiplicative that I can use. It's not using, the better way of describing it, they're not using the color value for anything in this at all. So yeah, I think an alternative I can use is probably a standard or maybe a sprite based one. Default. No, because there's no lighting here. It's so even the diffuse things would be technically unlit, but they're gonna probably apply some environmental factors to it, which is gonna suck. So I don't like that. I could always do like a unlit, but that's also gonna just be the same thing. So that's not great. It's in Unity versus C++ and Unreal, because C++ and I'm fine with C++. Unreal is just too chunky and has too many abstractions. I like having complete control over everything. And like C# provides that to me, and the games are not chunky. They're pretty reasonably lean. Not as lean as making my own engine, but it's still pretty reasonably lean compared to the other things. Yeah. Color. Come on, buddy. Yeah, you're still at, let's see what you look like at 0. Nothing. Should have expected that. Okay, I'm gonna deal with this later. I'm gonna deal with that later. Should really, I feel, one second, let me just do the thing. I don't think it's that crazy. It's just, there's always gonna be one keyword I'm gonna forget, and it's gonna be a thing. But whatever, we're gonna do the GPU stuff, and then I'm gonna do some sketching a little bit. We're gonna do some drawing. Standard, no, we're gonna do a simple unlit shader. Shadow shader, literally just needs the main color attribute, and I think it should be fine. Just to multiply everything by. I forget you can't do that. You have to actually define these values, and then yep, and then I can make another variable here. And then I can make this be multiplied by that said variable. Actually, I defined the variable in the wrong place. Or the property, or uniform. That's actually the term you use in shader code. Yeah, col will be multiplied by color. And then there's a specific thing you have to do to make this transparent. There's a render type. There's something else. There's like source blend alpha. Or something like that. I know there's a magical, mystical word that I'm just gonna forget, and things are gonna be bad. Yeah, I made my own engine before. Thank you. I'm glad you think it's cozy, Jester. And is that a custom keyboard? No, you can purchase this. It's called an Ergodox keyboard. I did modify some stuff on it, but it's largely the same. Do you stream always after work or when you get free time? Because I'm gonna go now. Love to see you next stream. Yeah, Luke. I stream very regularly. Usually after work, in the evenings, late evenings. Yeah, we're gonna have to Google this. I know for a fact. Unity, make, vert, frag, transparent shader. Unity HLS, let's say that. That isn't using the standard surface model. The standard surface model. Nah, C#. Honestly, as someone majoring in software engineering, impressive. Thank you, Shua. I mean, it's not that crazy, honestly. I think, I mean, there's some weird stuff with GPUs, but like, you might be surprised how not crazy it is to get something rendering. Like, you can get something rendering on a screen within a day, and once you get something rendering on a screen, you can make it move and do stuff, and you can start doing collisions. And that's if you're just hand rolling yourself, but like, if you're using things like Raylib or something, or SDL, or like, you can get a lot more things going way quicker than you may imagine. Example. How to transparent Unity 3D custom shader. And this guy for sure is using the vertex fragment So that's nice. Here we go. Here's the magic words. Q, transparent, ignore. Yeah, these are the magic words. Blend, source alpha, 1 minus source alpha. And then call front. These are the magic words we need. That's the stuff. And then I think you shouldn't need anything else beyond that. So now I should go into the drop shadow, go into MM, and it should be Shadowcaster now, and it should have this color factor onto it. And if we press play, we're gonna see if this actually works. Do you need a gnarly setup to make games? Nah, you can make games on a very cheap laptop. I wrote my game engine on a laptop with only like 2 gigabytes of RAM. Or I think 4 gigabytes. No, I think it's 2 gigabytes of RAM plus swap. Plus 2 gigabytes of swap. It's not working how I want it to. That's a little sad. But yeah, you can make games with very weak stuff, like weak sauce things. Yeah, I don't feel like you need to have the biggest or greatest or most technically impressive setup ever. Like, honestly, if you can make your game work on a very weak machine, that's great. The only thing is that, like, you're gonna start dealing with like build times being a little bit slower, but you know, that's kind of what it is. But you can technically make games. I think, like, for my own, because for the, yeah, I think I showed it before, but I'll pull it up again because it's always fun to bring it up. Right quit. City mini quests. No repo. I can't type worth a damn. Yeah, so this is my own engine now, or one of the iterations of my first engine. This one was written in Rust. It's not the modern one that I did in C++. If I do cargo run, so I made this with a very weak sauce cheapo laptop. So, like, still pretty good. You can do quite a lot. You can get some things that look pretty decent with something pretty weak. So, like, and I have a collision up here. So yeah, you don't need to have crazy hardware to make games. You can use pretty weak stuff and still have something that looks pretty sick. So, if I don't say so myself, at least. Now, if you're using engines, okay, you're gonna have some minimum RAM requirements and stuff. You just can't get around it. But even then, it's not that crazy. Like, with a simple little, if you go to a store and find a laptop with an i5 and, like, I don't know, 16 gigs or 8 gigs, even that'll be rough, but you can still do it. Hey, again, you said you wrote your own game engine. Was it a fork of? No, you can't fork Unity. Unity is closed sourced. No, I wrote it from the ground up. So I wrote like a couple, like two. Yeah, there's basically 2 engines I've written, like 2 game engines that actually use graphics APIs. So that one written in Rust from the ground, using like packages like, or cargos like whatchamacallit, Glium and whatnot, and then some other stuff for Rodeo for audio and something else for input and whatnot. The current one I'm making is very lean. I'm not using very much packages at all. I think I'm using GLFW for handling inputs and doing the render calls and whatnot, and using Mini Audio for audio, and then MathFoo for the math libraries, and that's kind of pretty much, and then Load PNG for loading images. But everything was my own structure because I like writing code that's going to fit the exact precise game I'm making. I don't want to make something that's very general, because then there's like concessions you make to try to appease as much as you can, or many different types of projects. I like writing a code, or having a code project and designing everything on it to meet the specific specifications of the game I'm making, instead of having all those extra dumb features that I may or may not need, or abstractions that make life more annoying. OS based on Linux? No, I'm just using Ubuntu. 67, what's up? Then word. I just said then word, and I realized, oh, I see what you're trying to do. No, yeah, I'm just using Ubuntu with i3. What are you drinking? Just water. Just good old water, and then occasionally a Gatorade. By creating your own engine instead of using anything that is already established, updated, like Unity or Unreal. Well, here's the thing, right? Like, I get to make something. Making your own engine, there's like a couple of different pros. There's ones that are internal to you, and then one that are external to other people that may or may not impact them, right? When you have your own engine, so let's start with just big engines, right? Big engines are meant to appeal to the vast majority of people, which means appeal to the majority, which means they're not designed for any one engine, or designed for any one game, and likewise they're not designed for any one user. And so that means that even though it's very well developed and everything, there's going to be stuff that is not needed by your game at all, and the way you deal the way you interact with the engine is not optimized for what you may want to do or find optimal. So the idea you can think about is like a hammer from, a general hammer or axe or whatever you can buy from Home Depot. It's meant to appeal to as many people, but maybe your hands are really big, so it doesn't quite fit as good for your hand. Or maybe your hands are small and it doesn't quite fit, right? Or maybe you do a specific thing with that axe that it just doesn't, the ones that they have stock don't work great, and you have to do some modifications to it. So like, that's the one big element to it. And the second element is that, like, how do I say this? There's extra stuff that gets added to it. So the major component thing is that, like, ownership. So ownership / freedom. So certain engines like Unreal are open source, so you can modify them, but like, there's kind of so much you can do to modify those engines because they're so big and there's so much legacy to it. You need to have very specific knowledge about it to kind of make the changes you want to do. And even then, you can't do too many crazy changes because the engine's built with some fundamental foundational ideas. And then there's likewise engines like Unity where you just can't modify it at all. So that's one element to it. There's also the other element of, like, monetarily, these engines can, like for example with Unity, they can just deny you service, because maybe they did, for some reason on their end, they detected that, oh, you're not using this specific license when maybe you actually were, but they just had an error on their part. That actually happened with a studio. So there's also that, like, monetary element to it. So inversely, the pros of having your own engine is that you can make it fit you specifically. You can design an engine to work precisely for you. So, like, designed for you. If you're making your own engine and you know what kind of game you're making, there's not going to be much fat. So your game is going to be leaner and faster. So that might mean, like, hey, you can actually work on way more lower end machines or older machines, and it just spreads things wider. Or maybe if you're doing something very complex or particularly intensive, like, you have a lot more options for optimizations within that. And then of course there's just ownership, modability. You can change and morph that engine to whatever you want or need. So like, and of course you don't have that overhead cost or anything. Though Unity, like these engines don't really are pretty good about not charging crazy until you start making serious money. But you know, you never know if they change licenses, right? So that's kind of the main things, and that's kind of what prompted me to make my own engine. Because like Unity is cool and fine, but like I want to be able to use the level editor without having to use a mouse. So that's kind of the main thing with the thing I started a while back. I haven't gone too far into it, honestly, and I'm doing some reorganizing of guts here, but you'll see like the way I interact with the level editor is very much Vim-like. Like you can see how I modify or use just keyboards to interact with my machine. I like not using a mouse, so I want my editor to also behave the same way. So here I have my level editor, and I can move around and just use my keyboard, and if I want to place objects down, I can just go into edit mode and select whatever objects I want to use. If I want to place something here, I can place something here, and then I want to switch to this and maybe place some more platforms here, and then, you know, maybe put an end cap here, and then, you know, maybe I want to put something in the foreground, right? So I can hold control and then move forward and place some stuff here. So now there's things that are in the foreground, and maybe I want to move some stuff and put it in the background instead. So we can do that. And things are gonna be kind of broken because I'm changing how we do timing for basic object effects or object updates. So, but like you can see, it's an easy cycle, and it fits my hand. And that's not an experience I can really get from most other engines, even like stuff like Godot. All right, let me catch up in chat. My bad, guys. I got you started an NPC dialogue in me, and I needed to finish the full dialogue before I came back. I learned about it. Do I need to look for something like game engine framework, or you basically create everything? I mean, I create stuff from the ground up. You can use a framework if you want to, and I honestly would recommend it in most cases. Most of this is kind of like only just my curiosity and enjoyment. I'm using no stuff. I kind of get what you mean. This is the same reason why I like writing with Golang. As for backend APIs, as you almost don't need to import any third-party packages and do what you need. That's awesome, Jester. Yeah, that's a good point too. Or another analogous situation where it's like there's less dependencies and less opportunities for an npm vulnerability to get you for the 6th time this month. Crazy how there's always some npm vulnerability popping up, isn't it? Would be handy. I used to be a reverse engineer, and I can't even look at the Unity code. I'm embarrassed myself. Oh my goodness. I hate Rust, C# and Java. I love C++ and ASM. Yeah, that's why I switched from Rust. Like, I did Rust out of curiosity, and I thought it was pretty cool, but like it was kind of my first real like extended foray into and like low level stuff, and I was like, all right, I just want to take a break from all this world of C# and whatnot. But I quickly started realizing that if you want to do some cool wacky stuff, or just normal things, or structured things in a way that's kind of like, you know, performance in a lot of cases, safe Rust hates you. And if you do things that are very kind of like fast, guess what? You're gonna have to use a lot of unsafe Rust, and if you're using unsafe Rust for most of your code base, why use Rust in the first place? Duty game, like please and thanks. Nah, I'm good. That sounds like a lot of work. Incredible. All right, Alto. Better looking, it's so cool. The perspective. Yep, I will hate Unity until I die, or source to it Unreal 5 or Selfware. Just hate everything, dude. In tech headlines for the wrong reasons. There's these few weeks, yeah, honestly, dude. Instead of Rust, I'd rather take Google Carbon. Is Carbon even the thing? I heard it once, and then I never heard about it again. So you can't convince me that Carbon isn't just some kind of psyop, some Mandela effect abstraction that's not real and will never be real. Oh, that's why this isn't working. I forgot to do one last thing, which is, where's the shadow caster? Yeah, we have to set a property. We have to set a property here. So the get property. I don't like that. We're gonna have a float here. We're gonna have a float called alpha, and it's gonna start off at 0, which is kind of redundant to even initialize it. And we're gonna set it to this, and we're gonna set this to I guess 1.1.1.alpha. Cool. And we have to set the property. We have to set the property as well. So we have to do, we're gonna cache it. I think I just called it color, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, just color. Cool. Oh, I keep forgetting. Shift insert. Yeah. Make a cache property. Perfect cache property here. And finally, cool, so now we're actually modifying this property. Cool, and let's see if this works. Be available on Steam. No idea, but I will be doing private tests in the test sessions in the Discord server, so if you wanna, you guys are open to join the Discord server and be there for when we do some testing. It's better to connect directly to the equipment than to force yourself with Java or Rust. Yeah, honestly. Or hate a Python. I hate this development. Yeah. There's something nice about being bare bones. Like, heck, even the idea of like it's kind of crazy that there's a majority of people who will never ever like do any instructions or know of any specific instructions on the CPU. Or heck, a whole bunch of people who never do intrinsics or AVX stuff. Like, that kind of sucks. It's kind of fun to do that level stuff. Or at least it's cool being able to deal at that level. You know, actually dealing with the architecture of the machine that you're running code on. That's kind of crazy. Kind of insane. Have a lot of people that will help you out. Just thought it was hilarious. Never knew if you never asked. Hey, gotta try it. Gotta give it a try, man. To have a steady hand than to use Python to build your already unrealistic skills. Yeah, no, I don't. I have a thing against dynamically typed languages for sure. What are you trying to do? I'm making a game. Engines in GitHub? No, they're all closed. Oh, they're on GitHub, but they're closed sourced. They're closed sourced right now. Not that you'd want to use them anyways. They're kind of trash. We'll see though. Okay, so far so good. No. This is not working as I would have desired them to work. So, oh, it is actually kind of working as intended. Yeah, look at that. You can see it down there, guys. Look at that. It is working. Like, maybe I might want to modify the numerator, but gosh, this performance sucks right now. I'm blaming OBS. Yeah, I can see it pop up there. There she blows. There she goes. I mean, it's not as very helpful for gauging your jump distance, but yeah, it's there. Sick. I'll take that as a win. Let me go to what is running here? Oh, because I have C-Line running right now. Yeah. Let's go to the repository. Jump and shadow changes. Go to dev kit as well. Is there any changes here? Not kind of. Yeah. Minor refactors. Cool. It's better to have already hand. Yeah. Do you have your game? Yeah. No. Is all the scripts? Yeah, it's for the shadows. I like what you do. Thank you, Davude. I don't quite like dynamic typing, but for some reason, after trying Laravel Breeze, it hits different. Really? I like life. Thank you, Davude. Why does it look like he's on a PC from 2000? Because I'm kind of. At least the peripherals are from before that, from 1980s, but hey, it's pretty close. We're gonna change this color ramp and have it become much closer to yeah, there's like a distance scale factor. I don't know, distance. I don't know, a scale factor, like I guess that's such a nothing term though. And then alpha factor. So this one's gonna be 8, and this one's gonna be like, I don't know, 4 maybe, to make it more transparent. All right, let me close this down for right now. I want to do some. Let's do some sketching to end the night. I see a cozy engine written in C. Yeah, that's a very not. That's not the engine. That was an early attempt at it, but yeah, it's not it. I don't even know how much I got on there. Okay, what's going on here, buddy? We'll make a new image. Yeah, 3000. Yeah, because why not? Yeah, I'm gonna do some pixel arting for a little bit. Maybe a little quick sketch or something. And yeah, because I have to go to work too. It's like 1:29 a.m. So I need to actually get some sleep tonight before I go to work. Sleeping before work is kind of important and good, right, guys? That's kind of something you should be doing. It's kind of good for the brain. Also, we're going to close down this application. Let me save my progress at least, though. Because, of course, you have to manually save because you're not sure what assets beyond the level Unity needs to have before it's doing its thing. And it's a clear writer because it's we need our RAM right now. Oh, JK, but it looks better than BO7 with Battle. What is that? Laravel Breeze is sort of intuitive, although I'm a verbose error guy. Dynamic typing is annoying sometimes. I honestly haven't really used Laravel. I've done PHP stuff a long time ago for some back-end things, but never again. Never again. Actually, I don't dislike PHP, honestly. I know people hate it, but weirdly enough, I kind of dig it. I think PHP is kind of cool. You know, except for all the security vulnerabilities and the different versions of the docs and everything. But hey, can't have everything, right? Can't have everything. Let me try. Oh my goodness, my Wacom tablet is not aligned. Do I want to deal with this today? Do I want to deal with this? Or do I want to do some sprites? Let's do some, let me do something real quick. Let me configure this. It's gonna bother me now. Okay, what do we do here? Where's my cheat sheet? This is for keyboard stuff. Where's for the whack 'em? Oh, that's in a different thing. Here we go. This is what I need to do. He died in the crossfires. Amen, Dr. Soda. I have a love-hate relationship with PHP because once I can debug the code, it feels very rewarding. I mean, it still has types, though. It still has types. It still has types, man. Crazy stuff, yep. I thought you were coding in Windows 85. Nah, it's a modern Linux with some good stuff. So we need to get this working. Map output. I think I used this command before, so hopefully it just works. Oh wait, 1 second. Can I just do that? No. I have to actually manually copy. Okay, does this work now? Nope. Let's try it again, but now with head 1. Nope, still does not work. Am I mapping the right devices? What? Oh. I should probably do that. Okay. So 12 is a stylus. We keep playing these musical chairs with all these different we keep playing musical chairs with all these different device numbers. I don't know why they keep changing every time I boot up. Okay, now we're good, and hopefully this works. Yeah, I could draw a circle. Nice. Because once I can, yeah, nostalgic, yep, crazy stuff. Good stuff. But lazy programmers tend to use dynamic typing, so it feels like one is spawning variables out of nowhere. Yeah, that's a problem. Like, I don't like having a language that gives people options. Because when you give people options, bad things happen, you know? Bad things happen. And when bad things happen, you may very well be the person who has to deal with them. And that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. Okay, I think we need to get some more emotes in the Discord. So I think this might be a good one. This might be a good starter. This might be a good starter. What you doing? Just doing a little concept, a little sketching before getting some sleep and Z's. I at least wanted to do something. Some sketching. We were doing coding earlier, but I think we're at a good stopping point. I did some stuff. I'm not sure how I feel about doing the guy's eyes, though. So initially I'm gonna make that his eyebrows, but I feel like that should just be his eyelashes. Or not eyelashes, the rings of his eyes. No, it's how it feels. Do you image a time where Rust will finally have a game engine that is on the Unity Unreal level? I mean, probably. I don't know. I think, well, here's the thing, right? Like, I could see Rust being used by bigger engines like Godot. Like, there's Bevy, which is big stuff some stuff has been done with it. There's Godot, which is adding Rust support for scripting, which I'm not sure why people want to do that, except for like the basic syntax if we ignore safety rules. But I don't know. I don't think Rust is really. I don't know. I'm not a Rust fan, and I'm saying that as someone who used Rust for a few years. Not a big fan. Okay, we have to do this UI box. I need to figure out how UI boxes are going to look like. Because I've been doing this wood thing, but I think I want to try to make this look more fantasy. Or more like a text box from classic RPGs, and they have that kind of border. And I need to figure out the typefacing we're going to do. For the elements that need to be displayed and their score. Nice. I use Krita too. Yeah, I used to be a very clip paints heavy guy, but ever since I moved to Linux, I can't be bothered to get clip paint working again on here. So, Krita boys. Krita boys. Thank you. I'm glad you think it looks pretty good. White Ops. Yeah. All right, let's take this. Oh, I keep forgetting. Let's try doing some pixel art real quick before I go to bed. It's currently 1:38. 1:38 in the morning. I got work. No, that's not what I want to do. I need to get the shortcuts down. There we go. Here we go. Copy. Get this bad boy in here. Cool. And then we're going to do some scaling here. From this, now we're going to go from this color with this tolerance. And we're going to make this be smaller. Probably like, let's see how 128, maybe 64 by 64. Let's see how 128 fares first. Pretty good. Just refuse to support TypeScript. That's a beast drawing. Thank you, man. Looks pretty good for a fantasy game. At least you got the general character. Yeah. I mean, we have this. We have a bunch of sprites with him already. We have a bunch of sprites with him. I've done a bunch of different iterations on his design, but the question is, do I want to keep the lines messy? I kind of dig it, actually. I kind of want to just not clean it up at all and just keep it like this. If I'm going to be real with you. The posture kind of sucks. But what can you do? Yeah, because I could do a try-hard rendering like I did with the other characters. Let me go into the... Where is the characters? Yeah, I don't have her portrait here for whatever reason. I have the NPCs here. I can see a portrait here. Yeah, that's some versions of him I've done. Yeah, hers is more high resolution. For sure. Yeah, some of these are pretty high res. Or higher quality, let's say. There's one I like a lot, but I just can't find her at all. For whatever reason. But yeah, I don't think I want to do a super high res render like that today. Actually, let me see if I can find that. Yeah, it's for Anton. Yeah, I don't see anything here. Ah, man. Player, NPCs, yeah. I don't know where I put her sprites at. Maybe it's in UI? That'd be dumb, but also... Oh, it's probably here, actually. Yeah, here. Her portrait. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah, you're gonna keep him. I think we're gonna keep him very basically lit, and then just do this under. Do a polygon tool. Something very messy, just to have something for tonight, and then. Where is... There's a specific tool I'm looking. There's like a polygon tool. Nope, not that. No, not the one-to-one. I guess this application doesn't like being small, weirdly enough. I know for a fact there's a polygon tool, but whatever. We live. Having other things to do. Of course you will, but you have a good one, man. Take care. Take care. You know what? I'm feeling pretty tired as well. Alright, guys. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate your company today. Couldn't do as much art. I keep saving this for last, dude. And I usually just... It gets so bogged down with debugging stuff, but... Oh well. I hope you guys enjoyed. I appreciate the company. It's always... Still kind of... strange just having people here while I work on stuff. I'm used to 1 or 2 people stream, so it's kind of crazy. Thank you, Mr. JXTR. Good to have you here. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream today. Have a good one, and join the Discord if you want to. Not gonna pressure. And until next time, though, stay